Welcome to the 41st episode of the ESOU podcast. Joining me today, as usual, is Olibeau, and our special guest is No Lollygagging. Do you have any preference on how you like your audience to call you?
Most people say
Lolly.
Lolly is just easier, yeah. So.
Well, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I was about to be like, I like long walks on the beach, but I don't. I don't go outside. The day star, it burns. Yeah, so I go by Lolly. My name's No Lollygagging. Obviously, if you're familiar with Elder Scrolls, you get the reference from Skyrim. Before ESO was a thing, I lived in Skyrim for years. But yeah, I'm a member of the ESO Stream Team. I started streaming March of 2021. I've been like in the Twitch community since 2017. I started playing ESO when it first released on console. I was on console for the first two and a half years, and then I switched to PC. But yeah, I mostly stream ESO. We do a little bit of variety here and there. My stream is definitely not for the gameplay. It's for, we call it fun and fuckery. So it's a lot of just like chilling with the community. Like the whole reason I started streaming was I was a pretty active member in Ninja's community, eventually became a mod, and definitely during the pandemic when everybody had nothing to do with their free time but live on Twitch, a couple people were like, how come you don't do this? Like, because I would get in voice and talk all the time, and they're like, think you'd be good at this? And I was like, you know what? I got nothing else going on. Let's give it a shot. And then here it is, 3 years later. Somehow I became a Twitch partner, and I do it 3 days a week, and I love raising money for charity, and just it started as a hobby and turned into like a little small business, and I absolutely love it because the ESO community has always been just such a great community to me, and one that I've really connected with. So it's been a bit of a trip. It's been fun though. Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, how long did it take you to get Twitch partner and all that?
Let's see. So I think initially I didn't really have to start from zero because I was already such an active member of the community. And so I think, much to my surprise, when I started, I had like 20 people that wanted to come hang out in the stream and see what was going on. So I got affiliate within like 2 weeks. And then I got partner a little after 2 years. So I got partner in August of not last year. Oh, the year before, because it was right before San Diego TwitchCon. So not last year's TwitchCon, but the one before. I got it right then. So I think it was a little over. Math is not my strong suit. It's banned on my streams. We don't do math. But yeah. So and that was hard work. One of the things that I was really adamant about, and I don't know why, I think whatever method you use to try to get to partner that works for you is fine, as long as it's within TOS, obviously. But like a lot of people will be like, partner push and like really advertise it. But I was so concerned. I was like, if I do that, I have no doubt that the community is going to support, because a lot of people have done that, especially because the ESO community is so small and we all know each other. I was like, but I don't want to like do a partner push. I kind of wanted it to happen organically, and it just did. I got really lucky, as I think a lot of people did, that year that they did the huge marketing campaign for High Isle, because everybody's numbers were insane. And I was able to kind of ride that wave a little bit, got some new folks in the community that were like, I've never played ESO, because they did that crossover with promotion from folks that like do other MMOs or big streamers like Towley and Anthony Kong fan and stuff. And so there were like all these new eyes, and we had really good organic numbers at the time. And so I was like, fuck it, my numbers are pretty good. Let's go ahead and put in the application. And I actually got it on the first try, which I don't know what voodoo that was.
That's pretty impressive.
It was pure luck. Like, don't even. Pure luck. I was like, all right, okay, I'm gonna go buy a lottery ticket, but we don't have a lottery in Nevada. So, but yeah, it just kind of worked out that way. I got that, and then I think I applied for the stream team twice, maybe 3 times. because they didn't used to give you any feedback. You didn't know if they were like, thanks, we haven't even looked at this, or we did look at it and we decided no. Like, you didn't know, so you just like every couple months you would like reapply. Because what's been for me, like, I don't know, a year, maybe not even. Jimmy and I got in at the same time. I don't know how long ago that was. Time is a construct, so.
Yeah, I feel like it was last year.
Yeah, it was definitely last year. Maybe we're not quite at a year yet. I don't know. But yeah, it's been like a really fun ride. It's been great. So
I actually am. Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
No, go on.
No, go ahead.
I actually am a little excited to talk to you because I feel like we've met twice now. Vegas in 2020.
Vegas and Amsterdam.
Yeah. And then Amsterdam, but we never really got a chance to talk.
No, you're a busy guy.
No. For Vegas, I was so drunk. And
that was
oh my God.
most people.
I was very
here,
gone.
So I'm immune to the effects that this
you're
city has
immune
on
to the
people.
effects?
Yeah, I'm immune. But yeah, Vegas was interesting because it was such a small event, and people got noticed with such short notice. And so there were all these people that wanted to go, but they were like, I can't make this happen in 6 weeks. Like Avron Doodles, for an example, like, she's a teacher. She has to have 6 months advance notice to request a day off. And even then they're like, nah, we don't think you should get the day, you know? And we have a lot of folks in the community. I think because they work crazy hours, Twitch in general has a really large portion of like folks that are nurses and work in the medical field.
Right.
Because they're up weird hours and they watch a lot of streaming. And so we have a lot of that in the community. And those folks, they're like, I got to put in requests like 6-9 months in advance to get a day off. So it was like a small but mighty crew that made it out for that event. I knew what I was signing up for, because I was like, I live here. Everyone's going to want me to be like the tour guide. But if you live here, like, we don't go on the strip. We stay as far away from that shit as possible. But you were not the only one that was having a good time during the Vegas event. Ninja disappeared for like 2 days. Nobody saw him. So yeah. He went ham. He went a little too ham, and he had to get his sleepies in. So but yeah, it was that was a really fun event, though. It was great. It was the first time I got to meet a lot of the dev team and folks that I'd known in the community for years. That was my first time getting to meet people in person, because that was my first ESO event. So, but yeah, and then in Amsterdam, you had your IRL setup going on and stuff. So you were busy with that. I wasn't about to be like, hello, crashing people's parties and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm open book, whatever you want to chat about.
In terms of the event, I guess the comparison between the two, because Ollie couldn't make it to the Vegas one.
I don't think EU people were like even.
It was at
allowed.
Most 300, maybe.
I think it was 350 was the cap, but that's including any of the Bethesda folks,
right,
or ZOS folks that were there.
It was definitely a lot more intimate compared to Amsterdam. Amsterdam was huge. Yeah. It was like at least 1,000 people there. So
you know, so that HyperX arena that it's so weird that we have one of those here. Like, I don't. The first time I saw that at the Luxor, I was like, an esports arena in Vegas on the strip? I was like, but so many people in the community, especially in esports, they're like not even quite 21. I was like, well, how are they gonna get on the strip? Like, I don't know. The logistics seemed weird. But do you know what that place used to be before it became HyperX?
Let me take a gander. Let's see. Was it a strip club?
No.
No.
You're not gonna find a strip club inside a casino. They're in the back alleys, in the dark shadows. No,
Elvis's
it was a
residency.
nightclub.
Oh, nightclub.
That
I was
used to be
close.
called Raw, and it was the sun god and the pyramid.
Okay.
That kind of
cultural appropriation at the Luxor. But it was really funny because the first time I walked in the HyperX, I was like, this place feels really familiar. I was like, I got a weird deja vu. And then I was like, oh yeah, this was a nightclub that I've been to like a million years ago. But because of that's what it was originally, like, it's a weird setup. I can't say I've been in another esports arena before, but it's like a small, what was the dance floor, but they basically brought in a stage.
Right.
And so there were like maybe 200 chairs in there. There was definitely some folks that had standing room only. And then there were like bar tables in the back. On one side, they have like some of the like the free play stations, not consoles, and then upstairs in what used to be like the VIP rooms, there were like smaller pods and they set up our like playtest areas. So it was very intimate, very cozy, because everybody was like kind of on top of each other. They cranked the AC to try to keep it under control, so that room was absolutely freezing. But it was a lot more of like scheduled presentation and not as much like interactive stuff. Like we had all of that at the Amsterdam event where we could do the potion classes or the leather working if you could get into them. That was a whole other cluster. But I think their attempt to execute that at Amsterdam was part of the feedback that we gave after the Vegas event. We were like, obviously the short notice wasn't our favorite. Makes it really difficult on everybody. It's a lot of pressure. Also, a lot of us felt like we didn't get a chance to do like interactive stuff. Like I like when those types of events have a little bit more icebreaker opportunity for folks, because there's so many of us that know each other but have never spoken. And you need something like a common activity to be like, break that and then start kind of a conversation and talk. If that's what you're interested in. If you want to go like do your own thing and fuck off and whatever, there's plenty of like area and space for you to do that. If you want to go do the play test. The play test was an interesting setup at the ESO event because it was like scheduled blocks. And really quickly, I think they fell behind schedule. And so like nobody knew what time their play tests were. But you're a little bit beholden to like what the event, like how prepared they are and how good everything is set up for you. And then like Kevin was sweating, man. He was doing his best. All right. He was a rock star. He was going through trying to help like 30 people all at once type in passwords and do it. But it was definitely a scrappy event. I think the presentations that they did that were really well prepared. Like I really liked the panels and the conversations that they had. I felt like that space was set up in a way that like I could still listen to what they were talking about on the stage, but have a conversation separately. And it wasn't like I was deaf and couldn't hear what was going on.
Right.
I had a lot of issues with the audio at the Amsterdam event. That was just
I
heard a lot about
audio. That was terrible. Even like I used to be a live audio engineer, so I have a lot of opinions about it, but the audio was just really muddy in that space. I get that it was like an old sugar factory and they put the stage in the middle, but like they didn't have the right equipment. Like the speakers were all like just muddy mids. There was no crispness to it. So even if you were 4 or 5 rows back from being in the center of the stage, it was really hard to understand what they were saying on the stage. If you're on the bar on the side, or God forbid you were behind the stage, like you just couldn't hear it at all. You could hear noise, like it was loud, but you just couldn't discern like what they were saying. I struggled with that the entire event. Like I didn't feel like they really ever dialed it in. I actually never got a chance to go back and watch the live stream stuff to see how well the audio came across for that. I'm sure that those were better, but audio was definitely a struggle.
Like in the other rooms and stuff, like in the the room where we walked in, where there's that big diorama and stuff. They had the audio playing in from there, and it sounded a bit better. But compared to that main room,
it was nice for those of us that had the VIP passes that could go into that tavern that they set up, that little chill space, because they had everything kind of streaming in there, and so I felt like that was like way easier. The other thing I struggled with at the Amsterdam event was like, there's all these panels I really want to check out, but then there's all these other things I also want to do, and I really had to make hard decisions. I was like, all right, well, which one am I going to do? I also wasn't prepared. So the Vegas event, you could just walk up and grab a seat, like at any time. Like any panel, there was always a seat open that you could grab. This Amsterdam event, people started like grabbing seats like an hour and a half before I felt like I was at Comic-Con. I was like, oh shit, I did not come prepared for LineCon. So I pretty quickly was like, I'm just gonna abandon the panels as much as I was like really interested in the content, to go like do the interactive stuff. Because I had a feeling, I was like, there's only like 10 seats at each of these, and there's a lot of people here, and I'm sure each thing is, they didn't tell us, like, is it 15 minutes? Is it 45 minutes?
Yeah.
So, like, that was the first thing I did. I ran around and, like, tried to sign up for stuff. And even then, I didn't get into everything on the first day. I kind of social engineered my way into the leatherworking one on the second day. But yeah, I actually got a chance to do like all the interactive things except for the axe throwing, because I've done that before and I'm terrible at it, and I was like, I don't need to like lose a foot in Amsterdam. That's going to be a logistical nightmare. So yeah,
it definitely felt disorganized outside of the panels, or not disorganized. I think the second day was really weird, at least for me. Like security suddenly had different protocol, and then the activities were shut down. Apparently somebody made a bot to sign up for the forms, or I don't know.
Yeah,
there's rumor. I don't know if it's rumor or confirmed. People have different things to say about that. I don't know.
I think it's hard to confirm if it truly was somebody that like wrote a script and did a bot. But I will say, whoever they contracted out to put that website together for the signups did a piss poor job. Because
wait, we didn't even know there was a website. That's a crazy thing. They just told us, you're VIP.
Miscommunication initially of like, well, how do you sign up for this stuff?
Right.
But then once we realized like, oh, there's these QR codes, you got to go scan them and it takes you to a site. Like it was it was the same URL every single time. And it didn't take people 30 seconds to figure out, oh, well, I can just save this URL and then I can just go in and sign up. Like, and then they figured, because it was like station 1, station 2, station 3. So just swap out the number and you didn't even have to walk over to scan the thing. The person that built that should have made it so that it was a unique obfuscated URL every time you visit it, so that people couldn't do that. And so they shot themselves in the foot by not having that set up. There was some issue too, I remember, with trying to vote for the cosplay competition. Like you would fill out the whole thing and when you went to hit submit, it just didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
They did get that fixed later, but it sucked because right when they told everybody like, hey, go like vote on who your favorite was when it's fresh in your mind, you couldn't actually do it. They took like 30 minutes for them to fix it, I think. So I'm sure they used some third party to just like, hey, maybe it came with the event site, maybe whatever, but they set it up. Like there were some really basic things. As somebody that works in tech, I would have been so pissed after the event. I'd be like, I'm never using this contractor again, because it was just like really 101 stuff that they should have known, having done events before, that like that was an easy way to get around it. So I don't know if it was just that the news got out and so many people had access to those URLs that as soon as they cleared it to try to fix them being full before the event even opened, that people just had it and filled it up again, or if it really was, it wouldn't have been hard for somebody to write a script to just go in and fill up that bot. So either one's totally plausible, but yeah, that was just a shitty thing, because it's not something you can jump on and like fix immediately. And so they just kind of had to go, fuck it, get in line and wait. Like they tried to make it efficient for us and it just didn't quite work. But I do have confidence that there were a lot of lessons learned at the Amsterdam event that they're going to improve for the US event. One, because being in the US, I think it's something I have a little more control over and a little more familiarity with the type of folks that are like running the event sites and stuff like that. I had a conversation with Jess in the tavern, like pretty late into the event on the last day, and we were just kind of talking about like the event, how everything had gone, because Gina was on the stage the whole time. She was running. She worked her ass off. I think she slept 3 hours in like 4 days. But like Jess, I had seen a few places here and there, and I got a chance to talk to her, and I was like, how long did you guys have to actually like execute this? From the time that you got approval from the Microsoft gods to say like, here's your budget, here's what we want to do, like how long did you actually have to execute this? And she said they had 5 months.
5 months.
for an event that was as involved as that is no time at all.
You think so?
Really, yes.
5 months. I mean, that's a lot of
yeah.
time. I feel like.
Whilst they're doing a
Not
full-time
really,
job on other
because-
things as well.
Well,
Yeah, you've got to prep all that content. You've got to go you've got to find the right contractors to set up all those interactive things. You got to do all of the set design and the room design. That diorama, it took 3 months for them to make that. And then it was one company that made the diorama and a separate group that made all of like the miniatures that were in that. And like that alone took, months and months and months to craft. So between like approvals and contract signings and getting through the event and then getting everything printed and deciding what the food menus are going to be, like all that stuff adds up really quick. An event of that size, I feel like on average you have at least 9 months to plan.
9 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That would be typical for something that's that size.
Okay.
So I was really surprised. I was like, damn, you turned that around in 5 months. I'm impressed. And she, because I was like, well, how far in advance are you going to get to work on the US event, like the Capper event at the end of this? And she's like, I'm pushing really hard to be able to get that started now because everything feels rushed because you're on such a condensed schedule. So with them only having that much time, I think they did a good job. There was definitely like, here's the things I liked, but here's the things that this shit's got to give. The security situation was really bad that second day. It was got
weird.
Lucky and didn't really run into any issues, but a lot of people were like, I just went in the store, now they said I can't, or like there was just a lot of miscommunication with the event folks.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of cons though, and I'm used to that.
Okay.
Always some third-party security company that they hire for that shit, and they like half of them they just don't care. They don't pay attention. So I don't know. It didn't seem that like shocking to me that it happened. It's always disappointing when it happens though, because it's like, it ain't that complicated, guys.
Yeah, it was just very
together.
Inconsistent and weird. They
Yes,
changed
it
protocol,
was.
they changed the rules, but then it was only for some people. It was very random. I feel like the whole point of security is to be consistent.
Yeah.
And it was not consistent. Yeah. And then even the vendors and the other event staff, I don't know if there was a miscommunication or maybe a breakdown in communications, but they were telling different people different things. There was this one bar that said you only get one free drink, and then the bar next to them are like unlimited free drinks.
Yeah. Well, there's a few times I went to go into the tavern and the person watching the door at the tavern was like, you can't come in here. I was like, I just walked out like to grab a chicken leg and
no,
come
they
back in
didn't
here
pay
to eat my
attention.
food.
That tavern was the Wild West, honestly.
Yeah, it was. There's a few times I just like I just ghosted behind Rich.
I
was like, I have a pass. I'm supposed to be in here, but I don't want to have this conversation every time I try to come in the door. But yeah, there was definitely some confusion on like who's supposed to have access where, what are you supposed to get with your badge. But then for those of us that were like the invited guests that had those like VIP badges, nobody pulled us together before we went in the door and said, hey guys, here's how your badges work.
Yeah.
And I definitely gave that feedback because that first day, even when we got to do the preview stuff, I had no idea like what it meant. Like Rich had walked up to me and he was like, you know how your badge works, right? And I was like, no. Is it special? And he was like, yeah, you've got the star. Like you get all these things. And I'm like, you just did a great job of breaking that down for me in 30 seconds. I had no idea that I get drinks included, that my food is covered. At one point they said that the stars were supposed to get us like faster access to the interactive things, but I never saw anybody have any success with that. Yeah, I don't think that was the case. I don't think that they realized how popular those would be, and they filled up instantly. So I don't know. Again, I'm going to chalk this one up to lessons learned. It's my first time being to an event that they've had that scale. I know that is a completely different group that runs Tavern, and that's a well-oiled machine. Because that's what Germans do. They plan shit and they execute shit very well. So I've heard a lot of good things about the Tavern event and like the scale of that event and that whole process and stuff in the past, but I've never actually attended. So I don't really have an opinion.
I went to the Tavern last year. It was very smoothly run.
I heard that your princess has moved to a new castle yet again, and they're at another different castle this year.
Even more in the middle of nowhere.
What?
and on the other side of Germany. It's like
Well,
3 hours from an airport rather than an hour and a half.
The
from an
eastern
airport.
side?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
And
I
it's
guess
like,
if you're gonna put it in a castle, castles don't tend to be in the middle of cities, so.
no, well, I don't know. People build cities near castles, and people build castles where it's somewhere good to be. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
but yeah, the new. I have no idea how to even get there, which I need to figure out before I buy a ticket, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were definitely some things that like need to be prioritized for improvement for the next like large scale events. But like, what were some of your guys' like favorite moments as part of the Amsterdam event, or just like during your time in Amsterdam? Because we all like hung out and did a lot of stuff outside of the event as well.
Do you want to go first, Ollie? While I take a quick bio?
Sure,
real
yeah.
quick?
I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, like the whole timing of it, I feel is difficult because I didn't really get any chance to do many of the activities. I mean, on the first day, I managed to do the axe throwing, but then all of the other sit-down events, they were totally booked. I think I managed to do like the photo opportunity, like the ones you queue up for, and the book signing. Then the second day, it was like quite a lot shorter day. Plus, we had to. Nefas and I were playing the Family Feud game, so that took like half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour. Yeah, and Lolly as well.
Winner, chicken dinner.
I know, right? And then we also had an interview with Bethesda as well upstairs in the back somewhere. That took like an hour.
I heard it was really hot up there.
It was very warm, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. It was funny because everybody kept asking me. They were like, "When is your interview?" And I was like, "What interview? What are you guys talking about?" Like, because not everybody had one. A lot of people kept assuming that
I was
had
confused.
one,
I didn't see anyone else go up there. Like,
no,
I mean, I
know
asked
quite
a few
people that did it. I know Lotus and Arcaneer did one.
Okay, right.
I think Daphne did one. Like, I know quite a few people that had interviews. But yeah, people kept going like, "What time is yours?" And I'm like, I don't have. What interview? What are you talking? Are you talking about like the stream? I was like, I didn't get one of the stream slots either, like the live from the event stream slots and stuff. Like, I didn't. There we go. All right. I'll officially sign off on this podcast now. We have babies.
Oh.
Little furry babies.
Yeah, but I mean, between that and then like actually making sure that you say hi to all the people you recognize, I did not have any time to do any of the
I still
like,
didn't get to
crafting
say.
events.
I got there. So I got there on Wednesday and left on Monday, and I still didn't get to see some people that I wanted to see. It's just hard. Like, and I think I slept maybe 3 hours each night because I wasn't at the same hotel that like the vast majority of people were at.
Oh, okay.
So I had an additional, 20 minutes from where I was staying to get to there to then get on the shuttle to get to the event back and forth. And that eats up a ton of time throughout your day. So yeah, there were still folks like that I didn't get to spend time with, but I was so happy that I did get to spend time with the people that I saw because some folks I had seen at TwitchCon, some people I haven't seen since ESO Vegas, and some people I had never met in person at all. A lot of the EU folks.
Yes, yeah.
Just as difficult as it is for us to get across the pond to go to events over there, it's equally as difficult to come the other way. So it's really nice when those paths cross and you get to like get FaceTime with folks that you've never met in person before. So that's the community aspect of it is the most important part of the event for me. Like,
right.
Yes. I can go read an article and get the details of whatever they talked about. I can watch a panel later that's recorded. So like getting to spend time with the folks that I talk to and play with every single day, or that hang out in the community and in my chat and stuff like that's always the most special part for me.
Well, before I say what my favorite parts were of the event or Amsterdam, I gotta complain about one thing: the time zone change.
The time zone.
Listen, the first night,
dude,
we slept.
It was rough for me too, man. That 1 hour just changed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was broken.
I just randomly woke up at 3 a.m. for no reason. My body just woke up.
Same.
Like
every day.
It was like, it was so rough. It was so rough.
Yeah.
It was until like Sunday maybe that we just crashed, like hard crashed. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, initially I was like, oh, I'll get there early. Like a couple days so I can like get my life figured out because I'm not even good going from Pacific to East Coast.
Right.
I'm wrecked. Like I just can't do it. And when we went to Japan in 2018, I was dead for 3 days. Like the first 3 days were a real slog because we're crossing the date line and everything. So I can't sleep on planes. Like I even got really lucky and had, I can't.
Why not?
I had a whole row to myself on the way to Amsterdam.
Okay.
I just laid there and was just like, I can't, I just can't do it. I'm a really bad flyer anyway. I get super nervous on planes. So, I was at that state of just like, I need sleep and I can't. And then a few days before the event, they were like, oh, by the way, like the stream team folks, like we're doing like a cocktail thing on Wednesday night. And then there's a preview event on Thursday. And I was like, well, shit, there goes my like early days to like adjust. We ended up having events every single day. So I didn't adjust. I was just broken. And then I came back to the States after and was completely out of whack and then had to turn around and go to Memphis for the St. Jude event.
Yes.
So I was just like, I don't even know what month it is at this point. I don't know how people do it. Like Rich and Gina and Fit, like they travel all the time, especially Rich, like from event to event to event all over the place. Did like a world tour last year. Like Japan and then Australia and then Germany. And I'm like, dude, please teach. I was like, I can't figure out how to make the time zones like work with my body. I can't. I just have to slog through it, and it was brutal. The time zone really sucked.
I think
what did you like?
Yeah, my favorite part of the.
What did you like? Yeah.
My favorite part of the event was, second day. Okay, we were going in. Security stopped us, me and Becca, and they searched Becca's bag, and there were these cake pops.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah.
And each cake pop has like 40 or 60 milligrams of THC. And they told us, you gotta throw this out or eat it on the spot. And we were like, neither of those is an option. but in all seriousness, I think definitely playing the trial was one. The food was really good.
I thought the food was fantastic. However, if they ever bring that fucking raclette back to another event,
the cheese. Why?
That shit smelled so ungodly. I kept thinking, I was like, is there bathrooms back here? Like, what is that smell? Who doesn't have deodorant
That's the cheese.
on?
Yeah.
It was that cheese.
It smelled like ESO players.
It smelled like San Diego Comic-Con. And I was like, I can't, dude. I can't. This is intense. Yeah.
I didn't really.
It would come in waves throughout the day as they were like prepping more at that booth. It was.
That needs to be outside. That
not a pleasant smell. It was terrible.
I didn't really feel like it smelled bad. Did it?
I just there was a few times I was back there and I was like, It took me the whole first day before I really figured out like where the smell was coming from too.
You thought it was like the guys wrestling with each other in the armor.
Like, what's going on? Yeah, I was just like, what is happening right now? But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. It was a pretty offensive smell. Most people I talked to though were like, oh, the food was fantastic. However, there was a group of folks that they have some dietary restrictions, and I think they're just naturally picky eaters as a result of not being able to eat a lot of things, and they felt like they were struggle busing. Like, I couldn't really find anything that worked for me. So it would be nice to have better options for folks that like have restrictions, because they asked us that when we signed up, like, hey, do you have certain food allergies?
I remember that.
Or it's like, if you're gonna ask, then, and they had like one vegan dish, so it's like for 2 days that's the only thing you could eat.
They had like gluten-free sweet rolls or something as well. Like Oh, the sweet rolls were fine the first day, and then I didn't get lucky and get another fresh one after that, so it was like eating a rock. I was like I'm gonna chip a tooth. But I heard different people had different experiences with that. I think it was just luck of like which one they grabbed off of a tray, because I think they had left the ones from the day before out for like display purposes.
Right.
And so it's just kind of, it's gambling. You just think of it as like Vegas. It's like spin the wheel. Do you get a rock hard sweet roll or do you get an edible one? But the edible ones were great.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Yeah. And one of them had 50 milligrams of THC in it as well.
That would have been hilarious. They just like sprinkle some skooma on one of them and they're like, you don't know which one it is. Surprise. How wrecked did you get off of having to eat those cake pops though?
I didn't really get wrecked. I feel like
so
it was
I saw you looked like you had your eyes closed. You were just like,
I always look like I have my eyes closed, right?
I mean, even more so though.
But anyway.
I was so I was over there when you guys were doing the trial run because like we were waiting like, oh, I know, Becca, I was there.
No, it was all right. We went out to dinner with K-Pal and her partner and Akui, and I was so gone. I was laughing at everything. It was so funny. I don't know. Everything was so funny.
It's the best when you're like, I don't think this is working, and they're like, you've been talking to that brick wall for 15 minutes. I think it's working, and you're like, is it? When you don't even like connect the two, you're like, oh shit. I was looking like when we had heard earlier in the day that Puppies had convinced them to like give them the space after the playtest to like, do the trial run. I was like, oh hell yeah, I want to see that because trials is one of my favorite things to do in the game. I love doing group content if it's not a pug. So,
I got you.
I don't have patience for pugs, but I was super looking forward to doing the trial, and like Finn all week, had been teasing like, "Oh, you guys aren't ready. It's so cool," like he does. And I was standing over there, and I was about to piss myself laughing because Keefe's on stage playing. It's loud, and Puppies. None of you guys are on comms because you're all on test servers. And he's just like, "Go to the left." He's screaming. He's got like a vein coming out of his neck, like, "Fucking block. Do roll dodge." And half of it is him guessing because we haven't figured out the mechanics yet. We don't know how this works. And I was dying because I'm just over there with Finn, like fucking wiping tears from my face because he's trying so hard to raid lead. And everyone's like,
we were all screaming at each other. I just kept asking, why is Luck dying? I kept screaming at Luck, why are you dying? And he didn't hear me because it was so loud.
And then I went to the back to go stand against the wall with Ninja, and we were talking. And then Puppy stands up, and he was like, "You heal, sit." I was like, "All right." I sat down. I was like, "Please tell me you're at least using a controller, because I don't play with mouse and keyboard. I play with controller." And he was like, "Yeah, of course."
Oh, there were controllers.
Yeah, there were controllers.
So he had it set up for a controller, and I was like, "All right, what is this?" And he's like, "I don't know. I think it's a Warden." Okay. And I started spamming the buttons, and as soon as I sat down, that next time we ran it, we got past that boss, and I was like, "You're welcome." I was like, clearly swapping out Puppies for me got us through that, obviously.
True. Very true.
But yeah, that little, like, I only got to run it for the last like 10 or 12 minutes that you guys were in there, but I was like, this is cool as shit. This boss is very interesting. And then we got past that mini, and then I was so frustrated because I was like, the bubbles weren't working.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 2 minutes at the end that Rich was like, "Oh yeah, I don't think that feature's turned on yet."
Finn was like, press spacebar harder or something, and then he was like, "Well, I don't think we."
And I was like, "I'm fucking jumping. It's not working. Your game's broken." And he was like, "Oh wait, I think this build is too old. It's not in there yet." And I was like, "Motherfucker!" Threw the controller at him. I was like, "Fuck you, Finn." But yeah, I can't. I don't do PTS. So I won't get to like fully experience Lucent probably until we do Tipsy trials, and then we'll live in there for the next 6 months. But I'm really looking forward to running it because I love trials, and I don't like, I'm not a min-maxer, so I didn't go like, I'm not like Skinny Cheeks. I don't have like 16 spreadsheets with all the math broken down for the 1% gain on like the vertical difference between one skill and another. but I am looking forward to giving some of the new healing options in scribing a run to see if I can just get some variety in my build. Because I am the world's laziest healer. I've been running the same setup for literal years. I swap out one skill if I need a purge or not. Like, that's it. And it gets me by. Like, I don't have to change it because I'm not doing like sweaty content. So there's just been no reason. And I'm like, I'm ready for some variety in being a healer main because it's the same set of skills all the time. And it's like, do you want shields? Do you need group? Do you need like what is your use case? And then you just focus that. And scribing has some really interesting stuff. But at the time that I did the testing, like they didn't have any of the math in there. So I was like, I don't know if these are effective or not. And I don't expect us to get much vertical gain out of scribing, but I do think it's going to give you more variability.
Yeah, the tether is quite interesting, the healing skill for the resto staff. Like, it's kind of like, do you remember the Vatashrin resto staff where you'd have like a tether with that? It's sort of like that, but you can get a little bit more use out of it. You can, of course, put your different buffs on it and whatnot.
I forget what that ability is called, the Destro one, but if you use it on a frost staff, it is a flashbang. I literally was like,
a twirl,
because I have dark mode everything. I don't have any lights on in my house, and I was testing and flashbang myself and was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, that's so bright. I was like, I'm glad I don't have epilepsy. That might have triggered your seizure, man. It was intense. And that skin is blinding.
Every time you do the vampire quest or whatever, you have to turn your monitor off because you'll get blinded by it.
I just hear Ninja in the background going, blinded by the light. And I'm like, yep. Which of the scribing stuff that you guys have played around with so far, like, is there like a specific skill that you're kind of like, I like this one a lot, even if it's not like logistically doesn't make the most sense, but you're like, this is my favorite?
I mean, is it the assault one where you can summon your mount?
Trample.
Yes, trample.
Trample. That's very funny.
My favorite.
Especially when you put your like
hobby
stick horse. Yeah.
Yes. So when we did the first playtest, I had dropped a note and was like, would trample work with a hobby horse? Because we couldn't get it in the test server. Like, there wasn't a way to unlock it to test it. And Rich was like, sounds player testable, like he does. And so we get to Amsterdam and he goes and grabs Kira, who's the scribing lead, and he's like, Kira, you know, Lolly had this idea, like, and she was like, hold on. And she pulls out her phone and she had it on her phone because she had clipped it through like a test that they had done. And I was rolling. I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. This little stick just goes and like knocks everybody over. And I was like, I'm never going to use another mount. Like, I'm just going to use a hobby horse with trample because it's just so entertaining.
Even in Cyrodiil, where you kind of need to run around quite quickly on your mount, I don't care. I don't
give a shit. Trample all day.
Running.
I will walk across Cyrodiil just so I can use that fucking skill. I was like, I like the trolley skills. The trolley skills are pretty fun. So, but yeah.
I mean, in terms of for DD, I've not really found any that are that useful. They're all kind of supporty things, but it makes tanking more interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, healing as well. Like, there's plenty of buffs and stuff, and you can pretty much play any class you want now with support, and it's less painful.
I definitely feel like scribing, whether it was intentional or not, is more of a benefit to the support mains than it is because any damage dealer main is going to be like, well, I just want more power. And it's not really designed to be like a super heavy hitting system, at least not in its current variation. But for those of us that are like, I've been running the same 5 skills on my bar for fucking 6 years because it's just what works and gets me through from point A to point B. I'm looking forward to getting like some options to just get some variability in there and see like if it's just as effective, if it works, like whatever, and kind of go from there. I know there was a lot of folks in Amsterdam, like I must have heard Kira get asked 20 times about like class specific scribing, which I know that they're like looking at all that kind of stuff, but throw your chicken or cat at the enemy. That sounds like a great idea. Throw your non-combat pet.
Yeah, non-combat pets. That'd be amazing.
It's so funny. But yeah.
All looks cool, but I was a little disappointed by it because you're not actually in the air, or you're not actually flipping backwards, if that makes sense. Your hitbox is
But
still
you
on the
can't
ground.
span a gap.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go over a wall because technically you're still against the wall, if that makes sense. I like it though.
Yeah, and I definitely backflipped myself off quite a few cliffs by accident testing it in the early phases, but the reduced fall damage is very nice with that skill.
Yeah.
Like Vault is a cool looking skill, but in like actually using it for me, I was like, this is gonna take some getting used to, because you just don't naturally expect your character to react that way. And so there's definitely some stuff I think I'm gonna have to like test run it for a while before I decide if I really like it or not. Buddha, shut up. Get out.
But I think like Ollie said, I think the attractiveness of the scribing will be in support, not damage.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, if enough people really provide that feedback that they're like, this, like, I'm really not interested in using this system unless I can get vertical gain out of it. I don't know. I think they're too risk averse to introducing like new balance challenges because they've had their hands full with that. So if we do get it, I think it will be multiple iterations down the line after like significant testing and guard railing and stuff. I don't see them opening the floodgates with that, because I think that's what a lot of the fear is that it's just gonna it's gonna really mess up other areas that they're gonna have to play catch up with and stuff like that. So I don't pay attention enough to the ins and the outs of all that to like know. So if it's like a 2% gain or a 5% gain, I'm like, I don't know, it looks cool. Like I'm that player. I'm like the aesthetics are cool and he's not dying. Like I'm keeping him alive enough, so I guess we're good. And if he is dying, I'm just gonna blame him for standing in stupid anyway. So it's not my fault.
Yeah. I don't think the past monkeys mind that scribing's not going to be for them, I guess. Like, I mean, you literally just run whatever's going to be the best, whether it's scribing or not. Who cares? You're more interested in the numbers.
Yeah, I did have fun just like running around the zone though. When we were in Amsterdam, because we had already done a previous play test. So, and I'm pretty sure it was the same build in Amsterdam. I don't think it was a newer build. And so I broke my build in the previous test. And then Rich was like, oh yeah, don't go south in that one city or you'll break it. And I was like, that would have been good to know 3 weeks ago in this build. So I purposely was like, I'm not going to really test scribing while we're in Amsterdam. I wanted to like actually go see more of the zone. So I stayed out of the south area because that's where it tended to break. But I got to go like up north and kind of explore a little bit. I'm really interested if the zone is going to look that saturated on release though, because I was like, does this have shaders? That zone just looks like really saturated color wise. And I was like, it's beautiful zone and it looks cool, but it's real punchy with the colors. I'm hoping that they dial it back just a little bit because it almost feels out of place with like how punchy the colors are without any add-ons or anything on it.
It's got like Breaking Bad Mexico filter on it, where it's everything's a bit yellow.
Filter or something.
The autumn filter.
But I think people are going to be really happy with like housing folks. I think are going to like the vineyard house that's in there. I think people are going to really like the overland look and feel. I think Apocrypha and Sylvani Peninsula and everything with Necrom, it was a really cool take and it was a really unique theme. But like for me, like I can't just go hang out in Apocrypha all day. It's like too much for me.
Too green.
Like,
I like feels... Green Rain. It reminds me of being on a MySpace page in like the mid 2000s.
Oh my.
It's really intense, and it's like the cosmic horror thing is cool, like when the story calls for it or when I need to go there, but like it's not my hang zone. It's not the zone that I want to spend the most time in. I could totally see all of the Gold Road areas being areas that I like make part of my like regular space because it just feels right. And it's definitely like the aesthetic that I'm looking forward to. So
yeah.
Where do you normally hang out in game?
I mean, I'm still doing like my writs and stuff. I'm still doing them in Blackwood every day because layaway.
Yep.
That's the efficiency thing. I used to always do them in Vivek, but I started having performance issues specifically in that crafting area, and it's the only place in the whole game that I have problems. So I just kind of stopped doing it, and I've been doing them in Leyawen because I really like the look and feel of that.
Yeah, I love
that part of the zone. I have issues with like other parts of the zone. I feel like there is an unreasonable amount of invisible walls in Blackwood that like it doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, I can literally go to what's on the other side of this. Why can't I go through? There's some weirdness with that in Blackwood in a few spaces that I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But I really like that look and feel. Like a lot of the Clovian style stuff.
It feels like something out of Lord of the Rings, like a sort of like Bree or something.
It's got that medieval feel to it. It feels like, old school Elder Scrollsy.
Yes.
I mean, obviously being like a Skyrim simp, so I'm like, this feels a little bit like cities in Skyrim and stuff like that. So I like that.
Yeah.
I can totally see the new zone being my jam.
Yeah, did anyone do crafting writs in the new zone? We need to see if they're good or not.
It's bad.
I haven't.
It's pretty bad.
Is it bad?
I don't think it's efficient though.
It's not efficient. Well, it's not efficient.
Yeah.
It's just not. Compared to Vivek or Leyawen, I don't think it's efficient.
Is it like a High Isle? High Isles, again, is really beautiful, but the crafting rits is just a bit of a pain.
So the turn-in boxes are in the crafting area, basically.
Okay.
But the stations are so spaced out, you're kind of just, I don't know, it just feels weird.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the
like
the crafting surveys are going to be awful as well, aren't they? They're always terrible in the new zone.
I don't like that spread out survey. I'm like,
why do they do that? Does anyone know why they do that?
So hard
it's so
visually
bizarre
to find them. Especially like if you've got a decent graphics card and you've got like grass and everything turned on, like some of that shit is like buried, and I'm like, I cannot find this. And I could use an add-on for it or put some skill points in it to like find the nodes, but I actually don't like putting points in to make all the nodes super glowy because I don't like the way it looks aesthetically when I'm like running around the zone, and console players don't have that option. So like, why make the survey node a half mile wide? I will never understand. I get that they don't want them to be like a perfect little cluster, but like, it's not.
You're the only one that can see it anyway. Like other players can't.
Yeah,
see it,
and it's not like an experience of like an event of doing. It's a task. It's like, go get your shit, pick it up, and God forbid you have 8 of the same survey and you got to run away and come back and run away and come. That's 40 minutes of like resetting your zone. So it just doesn't. It feels odd.
I hope that gets hit with a quality of life update eventually. Surveys.
Well, I remember they were so bad in Leyawen originally that they went back in.
They changed it a little bit.
A little
the clothing
bit,
one they changed.
But I wish they had done it like another 20% more, just because. There's a few times like I literally count them as I pick them up, and I was like, all right, I found 5. I can't find the 6th one. Fuck it, and abandon it and just like run off.
So they started with Blackwood, right? The spread of surveys.
Skyrim area has a couple that are spread out, but not all of them.
Right.
A few of the Rubedite nodes are super spaced out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Blackwood was the worst, and the jewelry crafting one in Blackwood is so far away from the way shrine as well. It's like
High Isle is so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And I hate how a lot of the new housing they introduce is like close to a lot of those survey areas.
Yes.
So it incentivizes you to buy
the one at the top of Varden.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Like, what the?
Do I drop 15k crowns to do easier enchanting surveys?
A lot of people will. As soon as they made it so that you could use your houses basically as freeway shrines, like so many people were like, I gotta go buy all the houses now. Or at a minimum, all of the gold purchasable houses like in the game. So they knew what they were doing with that change. I think they got a benefit to it, but it also made life easier for those of us that like play the game consistently all the time, and we're like, God, this is such a slog, just to try to speed it up 1 iota to make it a little bit easier. But you gotta buy all the houses, all the things.
Buy crowns, folks.
Give monies. Yeah.
Sponsored by.
So what's
Yeah, what Ed said. I could only ever afford to buy a house in ESO. I'm never going to be able to afford a house in the real world. So let me live my dream. All right.
Oh my God. Could you imagine renting houses in ESO?
Oh,
my
I would
God.
be a fucking landlord. I would be a baron. I would be so rich.
Yeah.
I'd be like renting.
Would you rent a house for like
manager in ESO? It'd be
500 crowns a month for a house? I'd do it.
I think a lot of people would do it. Landlord Simulator. That's the next DLC. That's
man.
the Q3 housing update. Is you can be a landlord.
You can be
now.
a landlord.
That'd be great.
Can
do you guys
imagine?
have do you have a theory or a particular preference of what you want the Q3 like housing? Do you even care? Like, do you
It's
guys
been
fuck around with
data
housing
mined,
at all?
I think.
It's been what?
Allegedly.
Data
Data mined,
mine.
allegedly.
I fucking hate the data mines.
You don't like the data
Allegedly.
mines, really?
No.
Why? I'm actually curious.
Because I don't want a bunch of spoilers.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
really don't know what everything that's coming like 6 months ahead of time. Like
Sure.
for me, it's just like it's a big bummer.
Mm,
And it's like it'd be fine if like the people that cared about it kept it to themselves.
I see.
But like there's certain streams, like if I pop in and I know that it's like open conversation, I'm like, oh fuck, there we go. All right, now I know everything. So it just takes the whimsy out of it for me. It's not like
Okay, fair.
as interesting.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a big bummer for me because I'm not like I gotta know right now. Like I can wait till it comes out. I'll live. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
pixels. So
Yeah.
it just kind of it just takes the wind out of my sails a little bit when I find out everything through a data mine. But that is interesting if somehow they've already figured out what the Q3 feature is through data
Yeah,
mining.
apparently it's kind of something similar to an add-on that a lot of housing people use already.
I mean, I assumed because Cardi's on the housing team and
Yep.
there's so many significant quality of life features in EHT. Like I personally don't use EHT. Part of it is because I'm a controller
Mm-hmm.
primary and some of those features like it's not friendly with a controller and it makes it difficult. But also like I think in a lot of ways the same reason like Ninja Monkey doesn't use it is we get people that come in all the time and they're like, oh, I've never really messed with housing, like how do? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to assume that you're on PC. If you're on console, like let me show you how to do it like in game,
Right.
like purest way. So I just don't really use EHT, but there are so many amazing features that are a part of that would absolutely benefit the larger player base, especially folks on console that don't have access to add-ons. Like so many things on console are, I always say console's hard mode because like I did that for 2.5 years and I was like, you gotta remember everything. Or we used to sit there and I would have a laptop open and look up like, okay, like where's the location? Okay, let me go to the place. It's because you couldn't do any of it in game. I was like, so but yeah, we've had quite a few conversations on the stream about like we want the feature to be, like what we think the feature is going to be and like what we want the feature to be. So it's interesting to like theory craft that with people when they're like, if I could have anything, I would have this. If you take furniture bag out of the conversation, because I don't think it's gonna happen as much as it would benefit
There's
so
no
many
way.
of us.
No way.
I just the database work it would take to make that functional at this stage with how many lines of code they have and how long their backlog is of other shit that they want to get done. I just don't see it happening unless it becomes like a significant monetization play and they're like, hey, for another $10 a month you can have this, then maybe. But I don't think that that's going to happen as much as I would commit horrible crimes to get it.
I think I know what the feature might be. I think I've said it before on a couple of the episodes.
I think
here.
something like the
deconstructing
housing.
No, deconstructing furnishings. I think would be the greatest thing because you would get materials
That's something
back.
I've been saying for years.
People always complain housing is so expensive to get into. Well, partly because of the mats, right? The materials.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what creates that hoarder mentality with it is like, well, fuck, man, it took me forever to get a chromium plating so I could make this one thing and it's really cool, but now I don't really need it, but I don't want to break it down because you're like permanently scarred by like how hard it was to get the materials to make it in the first place. And if you're not ever going to get anything back out of it, you're like, well, I might need it someday. Like you don't have that chance of, it's just like enchanting writs or something, or jewelry. It's like a chance of getting that good material back out of it. Then you just hold on to it forever. I also have a really bad habit of like something shiny comes out and I buy 50 of them instead of
Yes, yeah,
5.
on the luxury front. Yeah, I've got like a house full of windmills
So
that
bad
they're
with
never
that.
going to go anywhere.
I'm the worst. Half my houses are storage homes, and the other
Yep.
half are like decorated. So it's a big mess. But yeah, like the crafting bag has been a big thing. The deconstructing has been a big thing. I had an interesting thought a long time ago to do, because I used to have folks that would ask me, you know, you can give somebody decorator permissions in your house, and they're like, I suck at housing, or I don't have time, and I like the way that you do housing, like, can I like give you some gold and you can go like decorate my house? And I was like, yes and no, because you have to be there with me. You've got to hand me shit. If I'm inside the instance or outside the instance, like I can't take things through doors. Like it's such a pain in the ass to be the decorator if somebody wants to do that, because there's no way to get access to like them providing you the materials.
No, there is a way
to do
there
it.
is a way.
It is, but it's like a pain in the ass. And
But
so
there's the thing where you can save the template with EHT and then you give them the furniture and then they place it down.
But assume that you don't have EHT as an option.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to think of something that would work for everybody. And in like in my mind, it's basically the idea of like an escrow account. So you're the person that's given permissions to get access to this bag of holding, and this person can go put all that stuff in there. You can't take it out and put it in your own inventory or move it to your bank or anything like that. You can only access it when you're in that house, and you can pull those items to place in the house or put them back in this like escrow, like bag of holding. So that person can then go in and load it up and say, okay, I went and got all the stuff. Now go make it look cool. I would love to have some ability to make the decorator function like more functional so that you could actually do that. Because I think it would be a fun way too, that you could even give it to like multiple people and be like, okay, here's a bunch of items. Now, like, here's a challenge. Like everybody go build this. And like, if you can put it all in like a place that's accessible to everybody without having a concern of something like a guild bank where like somebody could take all that shit and run. It happens all the time.
Right.
Like you can't trust that. If there's some protective measure in there to say like, they can take the item out and move it around within this confined space that's been like permitted by you, but they can't like put it in their own inventory or decon it or do anything like that. I would love to see something like that. That would be a really cool function. Yeah. But that's super niche for like people that really like doing housing. If it's not your jam, then you're just like, they don't get any benefit out of that. So
I mean, I know a thing that comes up a lot again is guild houses. People want sort of a proper guild shared space as opposed to individual players being tied to a player. But
going back to the Amsterdam event, I missed that community panel that
the Q&A
suggested.
Yeah,
it was like that community panel Q&A they did in the tavern at the end, because like I was doing other stuff in the actual main floor at the same time, so I didn't get to participate. And then I saw the forum update. And they're like, hey, you guys had all these questions. Like, here's the answers. And I was like, what product manager answered these? Because these are all the most vague, non-committal answers. And being somebody that has worked in product in tech for years, I was like, I know exactly what this is. It's that whole like never say never. Like maybe like they don't want to give a hard answer or they don't want to give too much detail.
Right.
So like, it sounds cool. Like we also think it's a great idea, but the reality is like the shit's not going to happen. Or if it does, it'll be 4 years from now. Or so I was honestly let down by like how vague the answers were to those. I
they're
think
always
at a certain
vague.
point, like it's okay to say like this just isn't something that we're going to prioritize or something that we see value in. Like it's okay to do that sometimes, but I get it. They don't want to like get even more
crush your dreams
thrown their way. Well, yeah, and they always get like the rage from everybody when they do that. But I was really surprised how many of those questions were like all around guild stuff, because
community.
I'm in 5 guilds. I don't do anything with any of those guilds. Like,
I mean, like
I do housing competitions in my housing guild, but like
you said before, though, right? Community.
Yeah.
Like such a huge thing, and the guild system hasn't been updated since like 20. I think the last update was 2017. I think.
Yeah, we got the guild finder, which is a bit Well, I don't know if people use it.
Yeah, well,
I haven't needed it because I was already kind of maxed out on guilds by the time that came out, and I've been in the same guilds forever. But I do, when I get folks that are like, I haven't played this before, I've been gone for a really, really long time, and I want to find folks to play with, I always point them to that as like a place to start. I've found my first, so I was on Xbox, and as much as people have a love-hate relationship with proximity chat, that was how I found people to play with. I was like struggle busing to do a dolmen or something as like a little baby character when the game first came out, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because I tried to make a dragon knight, and that was a mistake because I don't know how to be a dragon knight. And somebody came up and like was talking to me, and they were like, oh yeah, and they helped me out. Of course I get the trolls and the fucking all that shit, but it made it so that I could find people that wanted to play the same content together, and then guilds and all of that just became a more organic process. And then I switched to PC, and I was like, hello? Wait, there's no voice. I was like, it's all chat. I'm using a controller. I was like, fuck, man, I can't type chat and control. Shit, what do I do? And it was literally the very first person that I saw doing one of those spam messages of like, we have a social guild, join us, blah, 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 Discord. And I was like, what the fuck is Discord? I knew what TeamSpeak was because I had a bunch of old roommates that played League, and they used TeamSpeak, and it drove me nuts because they were all on the same floor, each in their own bedroom, screaming at each other across the house, but also on TeamSpeak. I was like, you can fucking hear each other. Shut the fuck up. I was like, I know what TeamSpeak is. I hadn't heard of Discord because I had been on console for so long. And so I was like, all right, let me look up Discord. And I downloaded it and I joined the guild. And at the time, like, it was a really poppin' guild. There were a ton of people in chat all the time. That was where I met Old Mama Dragon, who's well known in the community on, tons of people's channels and stuff. And that's how I met Sindra Doter and a bunch of other folks that were also in that guild. And then that was how I figured out, like, oh, this is how shit works on PC. So there are a ton of people that are like just getting their first PC or switching from console. They're like, where do I start? How do I find people to play with? And it's hard when you don't have that chat option. At least it's just like one avenue to find other people. And so there's definitely some room for improvement in the guild system to like make that entry point less painful, because it's not super intuitive and it's not really clear today. So yeah, I would love to see some improvements to the guild system, even if it's not, I'm not the person that needs the benefit. It's a massive player base, and I think it would really, really help, especially folks that come in that are new, and this game's been around for 10 years now, and they're immediately overwhelmed. And they're like, I don't know how to do anything. So
out of curiosity, which console did you play on? Xbox? So you're familiar with Band, maybe? Or no?
Guild?
No, Band. The app, the chat app. It's like similar to Discord.
Was that even a thing when ESO came out? I don't think that existed yet.
I'm not sure.
I do know what you're talking about, but I never used it.
Okay.
We always just use the Xbox, native chat stuff. But
okay.
I have heard of that, but I think that wasn't like really either popularly used or around. I think I know more people, like Buddha saying, like I know more people on PlayStation, I think, that have used that than Xbox.
Okay. This topic comes up quite a bit lately, at least on my streams, about proximity chat or voice chat on PC. And it's very divided. What's your personal opinion? Do you think PC should have voice chat? Because personally, I think it should, if they actually can moderate it or will moderate it.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a lot of concerns with voice chat, obviously, right? And there should also be certain settings for voice chat, like the ability to mute people or the ability to just turn off voice chat, and so on. But I think moderation is also a big issue.
On Xbox. So like I use that all the time, because when I was on Xbox, like Elden Root was this is like when we first got traders and stuff in the game.
Right.
And so Elden Root was where everybody went. And there was always some fucking troll that was just like being the most obnoxious, annoying asshole in the proximity chat in the middle of the tree where everybody has to come to get their shit done. And I was like, mute, Like, or there's somebody that's like just has so much background noise and they're screaming kids and they're fighting with their girlfriend and their dog is barking and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, this is not, so like you have to have the tools to moderate it for your own preferences.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have moderation for like when people are crossing the line and being completely inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there have been a lot of really public clips going around about some shit that went down in, I think it was Valorant.
Yes.
So like that is a very real problem, and it is a significant risk. And of course, I'll say, like, I think that getting in-game chat in PC on ESO is a non-starter. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. The reason we have it on consoles because there was something that already existed out of the box, and they were able to basically plug it in, low-hanging fruit, and make it happen. They didn't have to build it from the ground up.
Right.
They also don't have to as heavily like Xbox out of the box. The pun. They have their own terms of service of like what's considered acceptable,
right.
And so there's a lot of groundwork that's already done there that like ZeniMax doesn't have to come in and say like add that on top of like what their terms of service and stuff are for like chat. So while I would like to see a proximity chat in game if it had appropriate tooling for me to like block out the bullshit, I just don't see it happening. But for people that are like naysayers to it, but if you have the ability to not participate,
right,
then like it doesn't impact you. So it's kind of like a net gain that way. I would love to see something like that in PC. I don't see it being reality. But yeah, because some people just fucking suck.
Yeah, I get that, but I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives.
I think so too.
I think so too. You were talking about the point of entry being more accessible for guilds, but it's also for pugs. Like,
no, absolutely.
It's just like, can people read? Okay, well, if they can't read, you can at least talk to them, right? Or they don't want to read. So I think that's a huge thing. I feel like, because I've experienced both console and PC, I went from PC to console and just tried things out back in 2020. And what I noticed a lot was this I feel like there were a lot more pugs on console than there were on PC, or at least people were more willing because you could actually talk directly to each other rather than go over text. Absolutely. And it's like, why not that for PC? It's just so much easier to talk than type.
Cyrodiil was always an interesting experience.
Oh boy.
Is
there zone chat in? Oh god.
Yeah. I mean, now in regards to like abusive or like inappropriate, voice comms. That's why I always say, like, if they can moderate it, because Xbox recently implemented, I think it was a year ago, they implemented the ability to report people, and the report automatically comes with, the last 90 seconds of what they said to you. If they can do that, exactly. If they can do that for PC, that'd be great. And
I think it's just nobody wants to take the onus for it. I think if there was a third party out there that was like, hey, we're going to build this, and then like any game developer that wants to use it can like hook it in the way that Xbox has that or PlayStation has it, then I think it would have a lot more likelihood of being used. If it was like, you can purchase this as a service, we will provide you like your uptime, your first triage of moderation. Here's a bunch of settings that you can choose if you want to enable or not in your game. Like, I think there's a significant opportunity if somebody had the funding and wanted to actually develop like a third party product that could then be hooked into like whatever the game is to have in-game voice. That could be like a really interesting play. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that the benefits outweigh the negatives. It's a huge amount of responsibility and shit to take on, and they've gotten this far without it that I don't see them seeing the need to switch it up.
The burden is basically moderation. And if we're gonna argue that's harder for voice comments to be moderated, then why is it that when things happen in game and in text chat, those go unpunished? Because moderation is very, I feel like, lax. At least on PC. even more so on console, probably.
I agree.
Judging by the stories I hear and the encounters I've personally experienced, because I've seen some similar to that Valorant incident that you brought up. I've seen worse things. I've seen worse things in ESO at times, not all the time, but at times. But they go unpunished. So if
I agree.
It comes down to consequence. So if especially when it comes to voice, it should be a permaban, like complete, period.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the circumstances were, just permaban.
I think it exasperates the issue, though. Like, we already have a struggle where moderation doesn't often happen when it should. And so if they can't keep up with that today, in its current state, like adding voice on top of it, that's just one more thing that they have to add to what is probably a team that's understaffed and not able to keep up with that. Or like it's always been a complaint, like the inconsistency of like when they apply.
Right.
Like, the whole name change thing drives me up the wall.
What name change thing?
When people like it only takes like one person to report a name because they're caring about something and get offended, and they're like, "No, you have to change your name." And I'm like Bert Firkins got his name taken away, and I was like, "Bert Firkins doesn't even mean anything, dude. What are you talking about?" And so the inconsistency in the application of that policy and the inability to appeal it, to say like, "What are you talking about?" Like, the game is rated M. There is a certain expectation, like for like punnery and like,
right.
I don't want to say the person's name because I don't want them to have to change their name.
Like,
I see so many that I'm like, that shit is hilarious. Like, absolutely, if it is a truly offensive name, like that shit needs to like go away. But so many people are just using like slightly adult humor or something that's just a little bit funny, or like poking fun at something, and they get slapped with like, you gotta change your character's name. And I'm like, you guys are swinging the hammer way too hard on this, when like to me, it doesn't make sense.
There's more serious issues. And I actually have a story about that. After 6 years, my character called Lights Out for Harambe was forced name changed. And I actually asked them, the customer support people, why? I mean, it's not a violation of code of conduct or terms of service. And you know what they hit me with? They said it is actually a violation of code of conduct because Harambe is considered a religious figure. And I'm just like, what? When did this happen?
Sorry, what?
Yes, the gorilla. And I was like, I can't really be mad about this.
Tried to look up a reason to tell you that needed to be changed.
And I'm like, okay, Harambe is a religious figure. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I don't. That is a particular policy that I have issues with, and I'm not somebody that I've never had that issue. I wish I was that clever. I'm not clever enough to come up with a lot of those names, but I see them all the time, and I was like, that's fucking great. Like,
there are a lot of necro ones, like boner puns and stuff.
Yeah, there's so many, and I'm like, this is a bummer, man. That's like one way for people to express themselves in game, and more often than not, I really appreciate the humor behind it. But then I will see somebody who is like a CP 1000 something, so they've had that account for a minute, and they've got a name that I'm like, how the fuck are you running around in the game with that name? That is straight up racist, like horrible name. And I'm like, how did this even get through the character creator? So the inconsistency there is something that like I've always really struggled with and had like a really negative experience around, because I get people all the time to come in the community, they're like, I had to change my name, and I'm like, why? What?
A big issue I have with that inconsistency is that it seems a lot of it is based in English, so slurs or certain names in other languages, like whatever that's not English is not moderated because they don't know it or they don't understand it. So
and
I don't
think any of that's unique to ZOS.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, that's definitely part of the problem.
Yeah, I've got Spanish friends with the C word in their name, but in Spanish, it's fine apparently.
Seen that?
That's okay.
Yeah, so it's that one's a particular sore spot for me, and I'm like, and it doesn't even impact me. Like, I've never had to have a name change on a character.
Right.
Not just because I'm not clever enough to come up with a funny enough name, I guess. Actually, I was watching Skinny, I think, do like a PTS character with something, and he just like threw a character together to test something, and it was a Templar, and he named him Stabby Jabby Stab Jab. And I was like, I'm fucking taking that name. And he was like, you can have it. And I actually have like a DPS Templar in game. I totally named it that. And I was like, how you guys come up with these like clever ass names? Ninja's got some like real zingers. He's got some great character names. I'm like, damn, I'm never that clever. I don't even want to make a new character unless I already know what the name's going to be. Because I was like, it's got to be a good name. I like punny names. I don't want like a lore specific name. Like I'm like, I want something that's funny as hell.
Yeah.
So
my PTS characters are usually puns on my own name. I usually do Ollie Boobs, but you have to spell boobs with a Z, because if you spell it with an S, it's against terms of service. But boobs with a Z is fine.
EWBS.
Yeah,
Boobs.
that's fine. Yeah. Like elbow, I get instead of Olibeau. Ollie Bean. In fact, when they gave us that second account, I made that Ollie Bean. It's, you know, it's kind of like Mario and Wario. You just flick the U at the end, and it's an N. Olibeau as well, which is like a Dutch donut. I mean, I even managed to have some Olibeau in Amsterdam, which is great. Nice. Got a picture with a sign that says Olibeau on it.
Nice. Did you guys go get like fresh stroopwafel? Like actual hot stroopwafel? I did the pancakes. I like the pancakes better than the stroopwafel myself.
Really? Yeah.
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 And I went to some like little the Albert Kuip market, which is just like it's basically a flea market, honestly, but it's there like every weekend. It's this huge market, and they have like little food stands. So I just kind of like bounced down and like tried like little sample bites of a bunch of stuff.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good times. Becca's like, no, I didn't get to eat any of that. Fail.
You did. It was just in edibles, and you don't remember.
Yeah, I was like,
Going back to the guild system, you know what I think would be great? Instead of 5 guilds, just 1 guild.
I want 10 guilds.
You want 10 guilds? You want more? I think that's bad. I think
Here's
1 is the best, honestly.
The only reason is because guilds have become functional to a specific purpose. So you have a trader guild,
right?
A social guild, a PvP guild, a try-hard guild. Like, you've got your guilds that they have that one thing that they do. There's not a ton of guilds out there that are like, oh, we do like all of it. There are some, but they're limited to 500 people, and so like they're always capped, and you can't ever get in. And they usually have some like minimum requirement of like, you got to play this often, or you got to pay this much to like stay in, because the demand is high.
Subscribe to Nefas and all this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to buy a tier 3 sub on Nefas' channel for 6 months at a time.
That's how you get into Sempiternal.
Cool kids. Yeah. So that's the thing for me, is that is just the nature of what it is. Like, guilds have devolved into serving a core purpose of whatever that guild master and their officers are the thing that they want to do. Like, I have a guild that is just a housing guild. That's all they do, is nerd out and talk about housing. They do housing competitions. That's a specific niche thing. They have a sister guild that is like the trader. So they're the one that like spends all the money and plays the market and does all the economics and all of that stuff. So it's gotten to that point where I'm like, well, now I can't do all the things that I want to do in a guild because I can only have 5. And then the first guild I ever joined, even though it's not that active of a guild anymore, I just I don't want to leave it because I've been in it since I came here. So, RP also, RP guilds are definitely like, people aren't going to leave those because they serve a specific purpose. So, I would like to have more. I also like the friends list needs to be significantly increased. This game's been around for 10 years. I know a lot of people, and I would like to have more friends, please.
Well, I mean, why not expand the friends list, but keep it to 1 guild? Because to solve this devolvement, as you say, I feel like if people were just invested in only 1 guild, you'd see much more fantastic environments. At least in my opinion. If you have people's interest and like investment spread out over 5 guilds or 10 guilds, it's just, I don't know, there's no real meaning to that, in my opinion, as a community. If somebody's like hardcore into PvP and they want a guild for PvP, but then like now they don't have access to a guild with a trader, then get involved and help your guild get a trader, right? Yeah, but then you've got to volunteer to be the person to like own that and run it, because they don't have it because nobody there wants to do it. Good. Like,
God, that
People
sounds
should
like
get
a lot of
I
involved.
don't know. I like the flexibility. I'm sure.
I think people should get involved.
Participate.
Okay, there's like a
Yeah.
no.
Really?
Okay, how many times is like, who wants an active guild? And everyone raises their hand. Who wants to be active in the guild? And no one raises their hand, right?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you solve that? You
Yeah, it's
need
a thankless job. It's
you
a
need to put all
volunteer
your eggs in
guild,
one
so-
basket. Psychologically, anyway.
Now, well, so if it's one guild, is your thought that it still stays capped at 500,
No.
or that it needs to be a significantly
needs to be expanded.
larger? Okay.
It could be what is that?
Yeah.
2,500 people, but it'd be one guild, and you can do multiple things in that one guild. But when you have it spread out over 5 guilds, well,
Yeah.
there's like no sense of
Yeah.
community really. There's no sense of loyalty. There's no sense of
But
friction
They-
that's necessary
did-
for certain social interactions to take place in the MMORPG.
They kind
Right?
of did something similar in World of Warcraft, where your characters can only have one guild, but you can also join like a shared chat channel that is across servers. So that way you could still keep
Okay.
your like multiple communities, and you just join the chat channel, and there's no like guild associated with it. Like you don't have the responsibility of a trader or any of that stuff. And I suppose you
how
could
do
organize
other-
things in it.
Because I don't play any other MMOs really. So like, how do others do it
It's
today?
Most of them is one guild per character usually.
It's usually one guild per character, one guild per account.
And how big are those guilds usually?
Pretty big. Oh wait, which
Like a
one?
couple
Are we talking about the
thousand?
one guild per character, one guild per account?
Either or.
The one guild per account, yeah, I mean, pretty huge.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you only can invest in one, right?
Yeah.
The one guild per
It's
character is
different.
kind of
I don't
weird
think it's
because
necessarily
Sorry.
bad or good. It's just a different approach. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
Dropping stuff. I
but
don't know. Good luck making a guild house for 25.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Only
That's
12
easy.
people are allowed in at a time.
I used to run a guild like when I was on Xbox. It was when traders first started, so like everybody was fighting for like one of those spots in Elden Root, and so we were primarily a PvP guild and trading. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst fucking enemy. That was the biggest nightmare ever. Like trying to back then there weren't that many guilds.
Right.
And so it was so much work, and we were doing like 3 or 4 like coordinated events each week in Cyrodiil, and then like all the trader stuff, and that was before they changed the way that you like bid on traders and do all of that and everything. So that was just a pain in the ass. And then you're also the person that like when people have internal squabbles, they all want to come to you and they're like, "Mom, he's being a dick to me." And I was like, "Fucking figure it out between you guys." Like
Right. Exactly.
I didn't sign up to be your mother. Like I don't, but then we would have people that
Did you
would
not?
just like you have to make that call. Like if they have inappropriate behavior, or like one person stole from another, or like people stealing from guild banks and stuff like that is still an issue. It just became so much work, and I was like, "Oh, fuck this.
It
Like
is.
I'm out."
But
And that guild eventually just kind of died off over a couple of years, and a lot of people either moved to other games or they moved to the different guilds and stuff in the game, or they like switched to PC or something, and I just kind of let that guild die. I was like, I'm out. I gave it to somebody else and dipped, went to PC. And I was like, never again. I don't. For me personally, like I don't ever want to run a guild again.
I feel like running a guild would be easier if people like it was not 5 guilds, if that makes sense, because people would help out with that one guild rather than focus
No,
their
I can
attentions
see that.
elsewhere. Also,
Yeah, I can see that approach for sure. Yeah.
my favorite stole my slippers.
Well, you better steal them back. That's what they do. They steal things.
Yep.
You ferret them away places.
How's your giant floof puppy?
He's now almost 7 months old, I believe.
I can't believe he's only 7 months old. He's huge.
He's small. He's a chihuahua, honestly.
He's a bear.
He's
he's
just
so
a-
much floof.
The only thing big about him is his head, really. Yep.
Yeah.
But
He's
we
gonna grow into that head though.
maybe we took him out to like groom him ourselves for the first time, because we usually take
I saw your post.
We got
Yeah.
really wet, and I don't know if he
Yeah?
acts the same way with the groomer, but I have no idea. So yeah,
Groomers have magical tricks. Like
Do they?
they know. Yeah. They've been doing it this way. He's over 60 already. That's crazy. How big is he supposed to get when he's fully grown?
200 pounds.
Yeah. Fucking Jesus.
That's what I want him to be, anyway.
Yeah. Big boy. Big old doggy. Little ferret, so cute.
Do you have any pets?
Chill. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised the cats haven't popped up here to yell at me, because usually the second I turn on the streaming lights, they're like treats. But they're both sleeping in the cat tower over here. I've got a brother and sister. They're half Maine Coon and half Russian Blue. So they're like 16, 17 pounds each. One's floofy, one's short hair. They're gray. They just look like a Russian Blue. And then I've got a very old lady dog, an Amstaff Terrier. So it's like a pit bull, but like half the size. She's only like 40 pounds.
Okay.
But she's pushing 15. Like she's an old
wow.
lady. So she's snoozing over here, she's chasing something in her sleep right now because she's twitching like crazy. But yeah, it's nap time apparently. And the cats are both sleeping like with their faces completely face planted. I don't know how they breathe. You've ever seen like cats sleep like that? But they're just totally face planted in the cat tree right now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so we've got those three. They're all just snoozing right now. It's definitely nap o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you, Ollie? Where's your pets? Squirrel?
Squirrel over there.
Squirrel.
There's a corgi on the sofa over there. I don't know. I mean, I only just moved in like end of December. I was thinking maybe I could get like a corgi or something. Like a corgi would fit in a London flat, but yeah, it feels cruel keeping a.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get like a pony or something in a London flat.
Recommend it.
Maybe like a small dog. I think my brother's been thinking about getting a dog as well. So maybe if we get them sort of a similar time, then we can share the. Like babysitting duties or whatever, because we live very close to each other. Yeah.
And they'll have friends.
Exactly, yeah.
Hoping that they like each other. It's always fun when you get two pets so that they can be friends, and then they become mortal enemies. And you're like, well, now what do I do? So that's just part of the gamble.
Are either of you going to go to Twitch cons this year?
I am planning on going. The hotel block selection that they have is garbage. So I'm waiting on something better to open up, hopefully closer. But the tickets aren't even on sale yet. So
right.
That's for NA. I'm not, obviously, like Rotterdam's not. I was just there.
Yeah, there's one in the Netherlands, isn't there?
I'm probably going to go.
I've never been that bothered by TwitchCon, really.
I'm probably going to go for the first time this year. So.
Okay.
Have you not been to any TwitchCon before?
I was going to back in like 2020, but we all know what happened in 2020.
Yeah, we were going to do a lot of things in 2020.
And then it just kind of never really happened. But I think this year, Beck and I'll go, and I might be in London October, Ollie. So I'll hit you up, maybe. Yep.
Yes, I'll be here. I live here.
It'd be funny if you're like, actually, all of October I'm going to be in Spain. So
yeah, I'm actually.
Really?
I'm going to be in Texas in October. Sorry, Nefas.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, I'm going to be where you live. Like, it's just not going to work out. How are you liking being in Texas now?
Compared to Pennsylvania, it's awful. The only positive is Becca, obviously, but
yeah.
Man,
I was going to say, is it the weather? Is it the people? Is it the?
Nah, it's the people are fine. For the most part. I'm in Houston.
You don't say, that's fine. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
How's your weather been lately?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
We lost power like for about 4 or 5 hours a couple of days ago, but there's like 3 towers collapse. Downtown's a mess. There's glass and debris everywhere. Destroyed buildings, destroyed trees and roads. So there's still 700,000 people without power, and we were among the first million without power. And they're just kind of working on it.
It's super fun that Texas has their own grid too. So that's a Texas problem. Like the government's not going to help you guys out with that at all.
But also, like, power goes out so frequently around here. Like, I've lived in...
Because it's a privatized
I lived
grid.
in so many countries, and a lot of those countries are deemed as third world or second world. But I feel like this is the most amount of power outages I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of crazy. Internet goes out as well semi-frequently. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna get out of here hopefully soon. So, other than that, it's been interesting. I feel like there's a lot of ESO players as well in Houston, because when we came back from Amsterdam and we were waiting for our baggage at the baggage carousel at the Houston airport, this guy walked up to me and was like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "Huh? Is that Nefas?"
Yes, I am. I am me. Yes.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't think it was you, Nefas." And he was like, "I was like, did you also come from Amsterdam?" He was like, "No, I just came in from a different flight." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh.
And then we went to a bookstore, and we ran into another ESO player who was like, "Is that you?" And then
That's funny.
yeah, and then at Becca's graduation dinner, I ran into another person at the restaurant. And I'm like,
Damn.
Why is everyone here in Houston? What's going on here?
People just want to be closer to the servers, clearly.
Yeah, I was going to say, is the ping actually better in
They're
Texas
like,
than in...
proximity is everything.
Does it make a difference? Because I remember I was doing some PTS raiding a couple of weeks ago, and we all crashed apart from Skinny Cheeks because he lives like
In
on
Austin.
top of the server.
Yeah.
He was like the only one that didn't
He lives
crash.
in the attic above the Austin. Yeah.
The lowest ping I've gotten is like 22.
That's pretty good.
It's
I've
pretty.
never gotten below like a 65.
It's pretty good, but it's averaging around like 40 to 50-ish, maybe. You know?
Okay.
So it's there somewhere.
There's an agreement that just happened in Vegas. Google Fiber's finally coming here, which it'll take them 5 years to get any infrastructure in place. But we have a monopoly here. We only have Cox Communications, and they're fucking horrible. And they have no reason to be better because they have a monopoly on the market, and we don't have a proper fiber provider out here. So people are like riding in the streets so happy. They're just like, yes, fuck you, Cox. Google Fiber for the win. I was like, literally, I need a map of exactly where you guys are going to put the infrastructure so I can move to wherever that is to get fiber, because this is a terrible experience being on their internet. Like it's the worst. The Friday, so like when everybody was leaving the St. Jude summit in Memphis, a bunch of people left early in the morning.
Okay.
And that was the day that the whole Midwest got completely wrecked with all of those tornadoes.
Yeah.
Like Tulsa got like one of the top 10 strongest tornadoes that's like ever been recorded and everything. So almost all of us that were like West Coast folks, like they all flew in, they were going to switch planes in Dallas and then go home to like LA or like wherever they're at. But because that all happened in the afternoon, Dallas got fully ground stopped. The whole Midwest was fucked. And so everybody got stuck on tarmacs for like 6, 7, 8, like 10 hours. Like I think Detoon got put on like 4 different planes. Like he got on a plane, on the tarmac, off the plane, put on another plane. So I'm just like watching the Discord, just everyone's having a miserable time. And I was like, my flight's not till 5. So hopefully I'm okay. And went from Memphis to Houston and then Houston to Vegas. And the plane that I flew from Memphis to Houston was about this big. And they were like, your bags cannot go above you. We have to put them under the plane no matter what. There's no room. I had like water dripping on me from wherever the oxygen thing was. And there was like duct tape, like holding my window together, like that airplane tape. I was just like,
airplane tape. Okay,
I'm already a bad flyer, so I was like gripping the seat, and they're like, oh, well, because of the weather, like we might be delayed. And I was like, I have a 40-minute layover in Houston. And I didn't know, because I've never been to Houston before, that there's 5 fucking terminals at that airport. Like, what the fuck? And they didn't put my flights anywhere convenient. They were like, you're flying into B, you need to fly out of E. Oh, also, the entire airport's under construction, and everything's fucked up because there's tornadoes in Dallas. I was like, all right, here we go. I got 6 months of cardio in 14 minutes. I looked it up and it was like, it takes 24 minutes to get from B to E. And I was like, fuck. And there was me and 2 other people from the summit that all had to catch connections. And we're all just sitting there like, are you ready to run? Because we're going to fucking book it. Because we had to wait for them to actually, like, we didn't even jetway. Like, we had to like walk off the plane onto the tarmac. And then they like pulled our bags out and carted them over. So we're just like waiting. We're like, gimme, and like got the bag, and then we like ran, and then I was like, fuck, I have to take a tram. So I'm standing on the tram, just like, come on, because it was the last flight out of Houston back to Vegas that day. was like, if I miss this flight, I'm stuck here. And I already don't like it, don't want to be here. This airport's bullshit. So needless to say, I don't ever want to go to the Houston airport again. It was not a fun experience. But luckily, because of the weather being so shitty, our pilots got stuck on another flight and they were like 15, 20 minutes late. And with that delay, I made it right as they were closing the doors.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, like sweating, but we're all like trying to run to our flights, and everybody in the Discord's like, and then I got home and then there were people that were still stuck in airports.
Right.
Like, I think Gand had to spend the night in one airport. He had to take 3 flights to get home to Canada though. But he like slept in an airport overnight or something. So like, it was a cursed travel day. We were all exhausted after 4 days of St. Jude stuff, and then it was not a fun experience. It was not a fun way to wrap up that event, that was for sure. Yeah.
Well,
we have a problem. Yes, all of Houston is the problem.
Yeah. I mean, tell us about the charity streaming, because I think that's how I first came to know more about you. Like, so we have that.
How a lot of people found me. Honestly.
Yeah. So we have that like Streamers for Charity group thing, which I mean, I was introduced to that by Queen of Stars a long time ago, and then I know Tyranny run it for a year or so.
I was gonna say, I think we've been running it for a year and a half, maybe coming up on 2 years now. I don't know. Again, time is
how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit. Before I ever started streaming myself, like I said, I was like a really mainstay in Ninja's community and a couple other folks in the ESO community. And I want to say it was maybe the No Kid Hungry that Zos participates in, that he was raising funds for, and then maybe Save the Children. There were a couple that came up like pretty close together, and Nefas says finding other slipper. I read that as finding other stripper, and I got really confused. I was like, what?
No.
There's plenty on the strip. Let's go.
I was like, what is going on over there?
Slipper.
It's the ferrets now. You can't ever have it back. But Ninja, so I was like a mod in his channel, and I wanted to help, even though I wasn't the person that it wasn't my campaign. Like, I was like, I'm not a streamer, but I just became like a hype man in chat. I was like, we need to absolutely smash this goal. I was like, this is a great organization. They're doing a great thing. Let's tell people about it. So while he's busy, like, doing his job, doing his show, I'm like over there in chat, just like explaining to people and spamming the message and like educating them on like what we're doing. And I was like, I really like this. It's very fulfilling. It's great to give back, especially when you feel like you're like, I don't make shit for money. I don't know. Like, I can't go give $50,000 to this cause that I believe in. What can I do to help? And so I kind of started with that. And then when I started streaming, an opportunity had come up, and I was like, I think it was Playing for Joey's was the first one I did like on my own. Like, Daku does that in the ESO community for Make-A-Wish every year. I was like, I want to participate. And this was before we even moved to Tiltify. This is when he was still using Just Giving, because this is like right in the middle of the pandemic. And charity fundraising was going really well because people were getting these checks from the government, and they were like, I'm not going to spend this. Like, I'm going to give back, because a lot of people were in a really hard place during the pandemic. And so they were like, these causes are helping people. So they're kind of rallying around that. Like, that 2020 was an absolute banner year for a lot of charities. They've never matched how much they raised during those years, like through Twitch campaigns and stuff. So I did Playing for Joey's, and then Queen reached out to me, and she was like, hey, I saw that you're doing some charity stuff. I've noticed you in the community. Would you like to join this group I have called Streamers for Charity? And I was like, yeah, tell me more. And so she invited me to the Discord, and I learned a little bit about like how she kind of does it as like it's a community server where we have some things that we kind of commit to and say, like, here's the ones that we're scheduled, but it's also a place for other folks to meet each other if they have like a niche charity, if they have an idea for something they want to raise funds for, if they want to learn how to start getting involved in fundraising in the digital space. Or a common thing that we help with is folks that are like somebody asked me to help raise funds for this charity. I don't know anything about them. Like, are they legit? Because unfortunately, there are people out there that are scammers that they misappropriate those funds and they don't go to places that they should. And so being able to help vet the efficacy of an organization that somebody is thinking about supporting is another thing that we kind of help with. So I got involved pretty quickly. I got the bug really quick on that. Like, charity fundraising is one of my absolute favorite things to do in the Twitch space. Like, I love learning about the different missions that are going on, and I love seeing the results of what comes out of your donations, the benefits. And so I got involved in the Discord, and then unfortunately, you know, Queen has some chronic health issues, and she kind of reached out and was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this server going. I've just got a lot going on, and I kind of have to put my focus there. And I was like, well, I work a day job. I don't think I could handle all of this by myself, but Thierry had been there for a while. And so Thierry and I kind of were like, well, if we split responsibilities, like, do we think we could kind of keep this going? Because I don't want this to go away. And so we chatted with Queen, and she was like, if you guys are okay with that, then we'll kind of, you know, hand the passwords over and let you guys kind of run the show. So that was a year and a half or 2 years ago, I want to say. And we've been running it since. The server is definitely still not back to as active as it was in its heyday. Both of us have had life come up, and it pulls our attention, and it's a volunteer thing. And so sometimes you can't spend as much time with it as you want. But that is just like hands down the most rewarding thing that I get to do on Twitch. And, you know, as much as it's like a blessing and a curse that like I work a full-time job and I do streaming, because my bills are paid, that allows me to not have to focus all of my efforts on like trying to bring revenue in for myself. I can take some of that time and I can dedicate it to causes that give back. Maybe a little bit more so than if I was like a full-time content creator and I was like, every single minute matters for me to generate revenue so I can keep my own lights on. I've got that cushion that I've got my day job. So, but yeah, I got involved with Daku with playing for Joey's and kind of learned a little bit about how like he works to find different brands to sponsor to get people to participate more and makes a big event out of it. We do the big raid train. Some people I met organically through like TwitchCon had not as much now since they don't partner with Tiltify anymore, but they used to have this huge charity village in TwitchCon. And so there's representatives there from like the top, you know, probably 10 or so charities that you would think of, like a Make-A-Wish or a St. Jude or Gamers Outreach, Able Gamers. They all have booths there, so you can go learn about kind of like what they're doing to try to help educate folks in our space on like how to fundraise. Because a huge issue today is that like St. Jude, for example, the majority of their donations still come from like grandmas that handwrite a check and physically mail it in every month for their donation. And so 10 years ago when Play Live started, that was them realizing like this generation is going to age out and this source of fundraising income isn't going to be viable anymore. Like, how do we approach the younger generations? I'm fucking geriatric millennial over here, so I don't know how young, but you know, all the skibbity toilet kids out there, how do we teach them like about charity and like about the benefits of because like and one parallel to that comes to mind for me a lot, because this has come up a lot, is if you did not grow up in a like religious community, you may not have had much experience with the whole concept of service, because it's very often tied to religious organizations where they're like, we're going to do volunteer work, you know, feed the unhoused or something like that.
Right.
If you don't participate in that, sometimes you're just so disconnected from it. You're like, I don't like, how can I help? Like, how can I do, like, I still want to participate. And so there's a huge population of people that they didn't grow up with that, and so they're very like disconnected from that. And so that's part of like why Play Live has become such a thing with St. Jude, is they're like, how, and I think St. Jude executes this better than any other charity out there, hands down. There are some that are pretty good in the digital space, but obviously they have the resources and they've hired an excellent team of folks to figure out how to be successful in that space. And a big part of it is like, here's our mission, but like they're very cognizant of like, you need to be who you are. Like they're not trying to say like, you got to be cookie cutter and clean. Like we all know the streaming space is like the Wild West. There's a lot of different personalities. There's a lot of shit happening. And just because people might be on the edge of one area or another doesn't mean that they don't also prioritize like doing good. And I think their ability to kind of step back and say like, you guys do whatever you need to do to like help us educate people and raise funds for this. And they let people really kind of breathe and like be the creative type that they are without putting them in a box. And I think a lot of old school fundraisers, like they really struggle with that, or they don't know how to connect with like folks in the digital space to say like, well, how do we get them involved in the mission? So, but yeah, I started, so this just happened like last week. About 2.5 years ago was the first time that I ever did a Tiltify campaign. It might have been a Playing for Joey's or something, like a No Kid Hungry campaign. I'm not sure what my first one was, but that was almost exactly 2.5 years ago. And last week, we just surpassed $25,000 lifetime on Tiltify.
What do you want?
Yeah. So, and like, I am not a big streamer. I got the St. Jude button. He's like, bah, 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 bah. But that was like such an amazing milestone for me. Like, I was just like, so happy. I was like so emotional about it because like, I'm not Dr. Lupo or Lil Simsy or Lil Seahawk. Like, I'm not somebody that has tens of hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't have this massive community. Like, but the ESO community, in my experience, has always been a community that is willing to step up and support. And it is, of course, of like the MMO communities out there, I think they're by far the most inclusive community. And there are so many people that are like happy to participate when we bring something that we're passionate about to them. And so like, I didn't spend $25,000. The community did that. And so that is something that like really fills my heart and makes me so proud to be a member of this community, because 2.5 years, and I mean, follower numbers are not everything, but I only have like 3,000 followers. Like, I don't have a huge channel and I don't have presence. Like, I'm not on TikTok. I'm not using Instagram much. I don't get around to making YouTube content really consistently. So that's really just like engaging with people when I'm live in the community. And so the fact that we've hit that milestone in that period of time, to me, is like super impressive, and it makes me like so proud of the community. And like, we're raising fund, like Ollie and I are both on the team together in Streamers for Charity this month. Like, we're raising funds for St. Jude all of May, because Play Live runs for the whole month.
Yep.
And we as a team just surpassed $10,000 this morning. So
For this month?
Yeah, for the month. And we've still got, a couple weeks to go.
The 18th?
Yeah.
It's the 18th, and we're going until the 31st. So it's
I've hardly even streamed this week. Okay, fine. All right. Well, we'll make it $100 million
it's gonna
by the end of
happen.
May.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. I put some ridiculous, ridiculous milestones out there for my community, because I'm really trying to I want to reach $5,000 this month for St. Jude. We're at like
5,000. I don't think any of us have done 5K before, have we?
I
I have.
For a different charity.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
But I won't lie, like, it was a bit of a fluke. Like, we had a few whales come in that dropped some...
Right.
Mama knows what's going on. That dropped some serious donations that were like, I had a niece or a nephew that was actually treated by St. Jude. Like, when the mission is personal to that person, like, sometimes they're like, hey, I donate every year to this. I didn't know that you guys were raising funds. That's a really common topic that happens. People are like, oh,
okay,
I give money to St. Jude every year, or No Kid Hungry, or Gamers Outreach. Like, I always do that. I didn't know that you guys also raise funds for that. So like, a lot of it's education of like, there are other means. Like, you don't have to go on their website to donate directly, or you don't have to like physically mail like a check or something. So it's so much education. But yeah, like this month has been going great. Last year was probably the worst year I've seen just on the whole for like charity fundraising by the numbers, because people are in a tight spot. Like layoffs are horrible across so many industries. Inflation is out of control. So
I think I put more of my own money in last year than anyone else.
Yeah, so to see it start to stabilize a little bit and start to grow again, I think is like a sign to me that people are, I think, in generally a better space where they feel like they're like, oh, I can chip in $5 or 10. Like, you don't have to have hundreds of dollars. Like, you just chip in a couple bucks and it adds up really quick.
Yeah. I even raised my rewards, like the prices. I added $5 to them. People still buy them. It's doing well this year.
Yeah, and Tiltify as a platform, I think, has done a really great job of building a lot of additional tools for folks to increase donations. Pair that with like St. Jude, I think, makes it easier than anybody else for if I want to start fundraising. Like, I'm new on Twitch, I want to do a charity, I don't really know where to start. St. Jude builds everything for the streamers. They give you this awesome website with a toolkit. You can get all the media stuff. They've got overlays, plugins. Like, they could not make it easier. So that
random junk.
Yes. And they send you a bunch of cool stuff to like get people engaged and goofy things to play around with on stream. Like, Ollie's got his box right there.
Chicken hat. And
nobody else has ever done that for me. Like, I probably do 5 or 6 different organizations each year. Like, I've got my like hardcore ones that I do consistently, and then I usually try to rotate in like a different cause a couple times a year. Because the other thing you have to be really mindful of is like the size of your community, and like you don't want to necessarily be like, I'm doing a charity every single week, because that's a lot to ask of your community. Like, you want to really focus it on like the things that mean the most to you, and as best you can try to spread them out, because people only get paid so many times a month and can only like give so much, and certain times of year are harder than others, and all of that. So there's definitely some strategy to it. But St. Jude, I think, just makes it so plug and play and so easy to get involved that I think that's part of the reason that they're as successful as they are in the digital space. I think let me see. So their goal right now is like 2 million. We're on the 18th of the month and they're at 1.4 million right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because the bar to entry is really low compared to like trying to figure out how to raise funds for other organizations sometimes.
I think even like the streamer incentives, I think, is a really good idea, because I mean, even for the most like fickle of people, it's like, well, you know, if I raise an extra $20, I can get a T-shirt, and who doesn't want a T-shirt? You know?
Yeah, they have cool stuff that we can get to also like help. You know, like I love the T-shirt. I live in my hoodies. Like the St. Jude hoodies are like a serious badge of honor for me. But they give you like cool stuff back for helping participate, and they're
really good to their fundraisers.
So if you're like, I don't even know what to do for an incentive or what to do for a milestone, they give you recommendations. So like, here's some stuff and here's a box of shit. So like do this with the community and like talk about it, and they give you talking points, and they just absolutely amazing organization, and it's one I'm proud to raise funds for every year.
Yes,
for sure.
Too. Yeah, I think a lot of charities can learn from how to do digital fundraising properly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was looking for jobs at the end of last year, it would have been. I did like interview and speak with a couple of like British-based charities that were trying to do digital fundraising, and the immediate impression I got was, this is so old-fashioned, your approach. Like I feel like you're completely unaware of what a video game is, like what Twitch is, what Tiltify is.
I still run
any
into
of these
that
things
all the time.
Yeah.
There's also the dangers of certain charities that aren't exactly full-on charities. If you guys have encountered those, right? They take a huge pay out of the as a middleman thing, and
like soft giving.
Yes, and that's a big part of why my community and I, we've raised like 15,000, right, in charity maybe, and it's encountering those. I just was like, nah, I don't know. No, I just don't.
Yeah.
For now, I just don't want to do it. I'm very uncomfortable with people, with these organizations reaching out to me through email and stuff, and they're like, not being transparent on how much they take, and I'm like, I'm not gonna ask people I know to give their hard-earned income to a charity. Great cause, cool, but then you take 90% of that, and none of that really gets to where it needs to go. So I just kind of stopped doing it since like last year, really.
That was a really eye-opening thing for many people, because they were so shady about making people sign a contract that, again, was vague and one-sided, and it was like, here's how much, like, because most of theirs were like they're paying somebody to do the promotion for the charity. And yeah, there is a time and place for that. Like, sometimes that's a business decision that the charity's like, we can invest this much to get like a bigger name, to get more notoriety, because on the back end we're going to raise more funds that way. So that's totally a viable approach. But this middleman company was like not educating either side on like how much the take was, and then there was an NDA tied to it, so they're like, you can't tell anybody about this. Which obviously that whole thing has been blown out and open now. There's lawsuits aplenty going around as a result of it. But yeah, those donor funds organizations, or those middlemen companies, more often than not, are not the best approach, because they're taking so much off the top. And it's not fair to the person that's making the donation to not be aware that only 50% of their dollar is going to the charity instead of 97% of their dollar. And I think that was a huge learning moment, and Soft Giving definitely got their hands slapped, and a lot of people are much better educated on that whole situation now. I've never accepted any type of a paid opportunity to do charity. Like, for me, like, I would never do that. But there are definitely people that are like, their time is valuable, and they've got these massive communities, and so they work through like their influencer marketers or like whatever. Somebody's like, hey, we're gonna bring this to you. Then they need to be extra scrupulous about like, who are they working with, who are all the people involved, how much of the money is going to the cause, or if they believe in it enough, then just go do it like for free. If the charity directly is reaching out to you, typically that's not a concern, because they're going to just say, hey, we can give you like these tools and things to use, and go hook it up through a Tiltify, or like Twitch is integrated, direct deal. But if it's somebody that's like, here's a contract for like an appearance and like a dedicated stream, like you would do a promoted stream, then yeah, that's something that needs a lot of scrutiny on it to make sure that like enough benefit is coming out of that to the recipient, which is the charity, so that they can do more good with that money. And I don't muck around with any of those like middleman companies like that. And that's part of the reason we have Streamers for Charity too, is to help enable folks so that they can get that base level of education to figure out like, I'm really interested in this cause, and how can I get involved? And that way they don't have to go that route of where they're not gonna get the benefit as strongly by going through like a middleman. So that's why we have that server. We have like 100 or so streamers, I think, in that server. And it's always, our campaigns are always open and public. So if people want to team up with us and help us raise funds, like it's always public on Tiltify to join up whenever we do that. And we have a Twitter account, and we blast out what we're doing and when we're doing it and that kind of stuff. And that's all stuff that like we would never involve like fees or anything like in that process. It's just a complete community volunteer like passion project is what it is. But yeah, I don't blame you and lots of other folks from being like, I'm going to take a step back from this, because now I'm not really sure what I'm being told, because it was so intentionally obfuscated before, because they knew what they were doing. Otherwise they would be transparent about it in the first place. They were taking all that money off the top for themselves. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why I only really trust like No Kid Hungry, because they actually break it down along with St. Jude, and it's like
yeah, and that's another I was just gonna say that's another thing that we do in Streamers for Charity. So I go through anytime somebody's like, I have a new one I'm interested in, or can we raise funds for this one? Then that triggers me to go do all of my vetting. So I'm gonna check their impact reports, which any 501 should have. Like they should have impact reports, and they should have publicly transparent information on exactly how much of the money coming in is going to where, how much is going to admin, like all those kinds of things. Sometimes that information's not that easily accessible though, even though it's technically public. So that's something that I try to help folks out with. If they're like, is this a good charity? Like, are these guys above board? Are they legit? We try to help them answer those questions as much as we can with just knowing the right resources to go to find that information. Or if they're like a little sketched out and they're like, I don't really know if this is a legit thing, like just try to get a second set of eyes on it and take a look and see like, okay, well, like what is the cause that you're trying to support? And then let's look at who all the charities are in that space. And then, but yeah, a lot of those more notable ones, they have really great transparency reports and impact reports to show you exactly like where the money coming in is going. St. Jude does an amazing job of that. And the Creator Summit is like a specific example of them bringing out, 300 creators to show them like, here are the tangible effects of the funds that you guys raise. These are the things that it's providing for families. And I wish that more charities, like, they need to take more credit for the good that they put out there, and they need to make it something that's easily digestible for people to say like, well, if I give you $5, what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. Like, you gotta have those metrics to show people like, this is going to cover a quality of life thing. This is going to cover a piece of equipment. This is going to cover a service, like these things. And then it helps people visualize like what their money is actually going to do. If it's vague and confusing, then they're just not going to trust it and they're not going to participate.
Yeah. Oh, another ferret. Okay. Sorry, they're like after my slippers.
More ferrets.
Yeah, we have 2.
They're so cute though.
Oh.
Did they ever try to escape?
Escape from where?
The house?
No.
No.
No. They're more interested in the inside of the house. And of course, you have to ferret proof.
Right.
You gotta look for any holes, any nooks and crannies, and make sure they can't get out in the first place or get into the wall somehow. Actually, I had this horror story of a ferret, apparently, like from a friend, and her family had a ferret. They moved into a new place, and before they could ferret-proof the place, the ferret got out, and then I guess it went into the walls.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then for like the next several, I guess, weeks or something, they would hear scratching from within the walls. And then eventually, nothing. Silence.
Oh no.
So it probably made it outside, but yeah.
American houses are made of cardboard. Couldn't you just like punch through the wall and grab the ferret or something, like, Like, I got a brick wall. If a ferret gets stuck in there, like, I'd...
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
But they're really interested in like the dog and the cat. So.
How are the cat and dog getting along now?
Oh, the dog is always. I mean, he's a puppy, so he doesn't know boundaries yet fully.
Yeah.
So he gets all up in the cat's face, but for the most part, like, he's calmed down considerably compared to like a couple months ago. So.
That's good.
It's getting there. It's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. My cats basically beat the shit out of my dog.
yeah, that happens as well. That happens as well with us.
Yeah, I mean, she's old and half blind and half deaf at this point, but especially like when we first got them and they were kitties, she was like all up in their face trying to sniff them, and they were like, whack, like, back off. And she figured it out really quick who runs this house, and it's not her. So she kind of lets the cats mind their own business now. But yeah,
I've only ever had ferrets as pets. So he's my first dog. and Percy's also my first cat. It's been interesting. I don't know. I didn't realize a dog was so much time, or a puppy was so much time, I guess.
Yes.
More specifically,
we are like we've discussed kind of like this. Tank's in her final chapter. Like she's old lady. And when her time comes, like I don't think we have any plans on getting another dog anytime soon because it is such a different level of responsibility that limits a lot of things. Because if you like, she can't. She's not socialized well, so she doesn't behave well with other dogs. So I can't take her to like a boarding place or something if we wanted to go somewhere. So unless I have a trusted family member that she will tolerate, I got to find somebody to come house sit, and like you can't just like leave them be for more than a day. Like you can't do that with a dog. Cats are a little more self-sufficient and flexible with that to a limit. Like don't leave your cat at home for like a week, but they're much easier for less of a burden for other people too. If you're gonna have somebody come like check in on them and spend some time with them, and they're cool doing their own thing. Dogs is way more involved. So when we're like wanting to plan a trip or something, the first thing is like, all right, well, how's this gonna work with the dog and other people's schedules and stuff like that? And it's just easier with cats. So
I guess like as a first-time dog owner, it surprises me that so many places they don't let dogs in, like stores or whatever. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Like
it's just one of those like one bad owner ruined it for everybody else.
Right.
So and it is we're so sue happy here. Like it's a liability, and people are like, I can't risk that dog biting somebody or injuring somebody because then it's on that establishment's head. And so a lot of places just say no, and then it creates issues with people that have a legitimate need for a service animal, and they're like, no, you can't bring your dog in here. You're like, well, I'm blind and this is my guide dog. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, nope, get out. And it's like, well,
I'm pretty sure that's illegal. You have to let service animals in, but then there's people who get those like service vests, right, and slap it on their dogs anyway.
Sure. Yeah, there's the issue of like false guide or false service animals, but then there's also like, okay, so if you're in an establishment and somebody says like, I'm not going to serve you because you can't have your dog in here, that now puts all this burden on you that you have to go through and like report them, and like if the cops even care if they come to write a report, like it's so hard to enforce it, to actually like slap the hand of the person that's breaking the law. And so it just creates a negative experience for everybody. And it really sucks. San Diego was an interesting experience when we lived there because everybody in San Diego has a dog, but nowhere allows you to live with a dog.
That's
Everybody's
weird.
just breaking the law there. Like everybody's like, I don't have a pet, and then they totally have a pet. Like it's so weird because like a lot of places have like outdoor dining or whatever. Like they're very pet friendly establishments, but then like as a renter, almost nobody on paper allowed you to have a dog, but yet everybody has one. It's like this weird unspoken thing, because I was like, where the fuck are these places that allow people to have dogs? Everybody's got a dog, and I can't find a place to rent that will allow us to have one. Plus, she's a breed that gets discriminated against, and they're like, oh, you have a pit bull, like you can't, your dog's a problem. I was like, really? They're like exponentially more cases of people having to go to the hospital because they got bit by a chihuahua.
Than the smaller the dog, the more.
It's just that the damage that can be done by those breeds is so more significant that's what becomes newsworthy. But like when you look at the statistics, it doesn't add up. But they're like, we do allow pets, but only this size or only these breeds, and every state's different, and it makes it difficult. So
a lot of public transport systems, you can bring your pet as long as you can put it in a bag.
There's
people that have like huge dogs.
New York with like camping backpacks and a 75-pound pit bull in the back, and I was like, they're not breaking the rules. That's fine.
I didn't realize there's such a stigma against certain breeds until I looked into it.
Oh yeah, big time. There are a few states that full on, I think, isn't it an issue in the UK too, that they actually
we get
outlawed all of the bully
XL
breeds.
bullies or something, like pit bulls. They got banned
So
recently because one bit
it's
of
really
child.
it's really unfortunate because it's bad owners, like people.
No bad doggies, bad owners, whatever.
Wait.
say
They
the same
banned
thing
a
about
breed
people's kids.
because one dog bit a kid? One dog.
Yeah, it happens in the UK a lot. Yeah, there's loads of banned
Yeah.
breeds in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. Colorado has certain cities have laws that like you can't have bully breeds at all.
Huh.
But there's a lot of people trying to fight to get. They're like, those are discriminatory laws, but pets are not seen as creatures with rights. They're seen as property.
Property, yeah.
And so they're like, oh, there is no discrimination because it's property. Like we can do whatever we want. And so there's all this has been going on for decades, like legal fights and stuff around that. So, but yeah, it's a shitty situation all the way around. Your ferret was trying to get under the dishwasher. Oh, that would be such a horrible place. That would be not fun.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could successfully ferret-proof a house. They're so crafty.
Yeah.
They can
My
get into
mum
everything.
cat-proofed the garden, and that was like tricky enough.
Yeah,
Putting like wire up all over the fences and stuff.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Do we want to take some questions from chat?
Any questions for Lollygagging? we
Think we
usually always
wanna
take
know
questions
anything?
towards the end.
Yeah, you're going to be put on the spot now. You're going to have to solve all the world's problems with these questions.
Yep. Good
What
luck.
do you think about the current conflict in...
Current conflict where? There's a lot of conflicts going on right
I don't
now.
know nothing about the outside world.
You take your pick. The current conflict in Cyrodiil.
Cyrodiil.
The Three Banners War.
Why haven't they?
How do you propose to solve the Three Banners War?
They should
For
just
King
end.
and Covenant.
They should just end it. Honestly, I don't know.
We should all play Pact, and then there'd be no war.
No, absolutely not. No, or I do not dye my own hair. Oh God, that would be horrible. I do my own touch-ups as it starts to fade, but like obviously this shit is a lot of work, so I
Yeah.
definitely
Looks amazing, though.
pay too much money. Thank you.
How lo-
I just got it
What
done
col-
yesterday.
How long does
Colour
it
is
take?
normally?
Yesterday took 4 hours, so we stripped all the blue out, which blue is typically the most difficult color to get out. So I tried for like the last week, I used the hottest water and washed my hair every day, which felt amazing to try to strip out as much of that blue as possible. So we did like a bleach treatment, but you got to be careful. Like I have super fine hair, and obviously I've been color treating it for like 2 decades, so it's not the healthiest hair. So you have to be careful with that. And then we used another treatment that worked really well. I don't know what the stuff was, black magic, but it took the color out. It was all this like really nasty yellow blonde color, and then you can basically you have a paint canvas, and then you just add on top. So this is like purple into pink into like an orange, and then eventually we're gonna add like yellow right on the tips. But that wasn't on the docket for yesterday. So yeah, Vivid's commitment is a lot of work. But yeah, that took 4 hours with cut, color, the whole shebang.
What colour's your hair originally?
It's like a dirty blonde.
Okay.
Yeah, like my eyebrows are tattooed on because
Really? Wow.
they're here, like there's hair, but it's so blonde and so light
Okay.
that I look like powder. Like you can't see them. People would always be like, "You can't make emotions." Because I can't see my eyebrows. And so I would draw them in for a long time, and that gets old. And so I went and actually had like permanent makeup done to get them like tattooed on so that I could like have proper eyebrows, which is nice.
Becca and I went
Thanks, Mama.
to a hairdresser in Philadelphia once to get my hair dyed blue. I think we were there for like 8 hours. Because
8 hours?
because apparently my hair is so black. Like it was tough bleaching it, and then it was tough
Yeah.
applying the blue to that hair, and then the blue, I shit you not, fucking got lighter the moment. Like it took only like 3 days for it to turn into like a yellow for me. Red was better for me, but blue is really, I guess, hard.
Yeah, red usually holds more intensely for people. Blue usually will turn into like a dirty dishwater color and then like fade out pretty quick. But it should not have taken 8 hours.
Oh, it was like 5 hours of bleaching.
I feel like they didn't know what they were doing.
No, they knew. It's just they were like your hair's so black. So like,
and I mean,
they applied an ungodly amount of bleach, and I was like kind of getting high off of it. That's how much bleach there was.
Yeah,
So,
virgin Asian hair is really difficult to lift to like a decent color too. So it'll usually turn this like really gross coppery color.
Yeah.
And then they have to tone it. And then you got to know color theory. Like that's where it gets crazy because they're like, oh, it's green, but if I put this on top of it, then it'll cancel it out and it creates this color. We had to do a lot of that with this because I had this like greenish tint after taking the blue out. And it was like, if you just slap any color on top of it, it's going to have a reaction and then it's going to turn a different color than what you were expecting. It gets like to find like a legitimate stylist that specializes in vivids. They really know their color theory. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
And it's like, but you pay for that. Like, it's not just like dyeing your hair in the sink at home and then throwing manic panic on it. You know, like you're going to get what you get when you do that. So it's really impressive when you see somebody that has years of experience and knows what they're doing. I used to go back to, like, after we moved back here from San Diego, for years, I still went back to San Diego every couple months to have my guy do my hair. Because I was seeing the same person. I was seeing somebody for like 10 years, and then I saw him for, 6 or 7 years. Like, you would rather change your dentist or your doctor more often than when you find a good hairstylist. Like that is very, very sacred to those that get like professional hair coloring. And it took me a long time before I found somebody here locally that I felt was not going to fuck up my hair and make me have to wear a wig because it all fell out. So
yeah, especially if you move where you live, it is tricky to find a new hairdresser. I mean, I had so many options here. I literally picked. Well, I mean, I looked at the Google reviews and. Thankfully, I picked the one that's literally like, I don't know, 20 meters that way. It's very, very convenient. But there is one in town that on a Saturday they've got a live DJ with decks, which I don't know why you'd want to get your hair cut there, but well, that's where all the kids go anyway, with all their like, short back and sides, whatever the Zoomer kids have now.
Yeah, for sure.
Perms. Yeah, they're perms. Everyone says they do perms now for men.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't need to come back. The perms need to just go the way of the dodo. We don't need that again.
You may as well just glue dried noodles to your head. Like it's,
horrible. Horrible. Did I miss any other questions? Does anybody have any other cues?
I don't know. I think we've been pretty thorough today. We've picked your brains over everything.
Yeah, we talk about so much. I feel like that's what you want.
Perfect.
I know.
That's what you want.
The people want.
Yeah.
The event. We talk about like from the event all the way up to dogs.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
We even talked about the stuff on the PTS as well. Like
this is a pretty good example of like what it's like to come hang out on my streams too.
Oh, okay.
Like,
brilliant.
I love having folks in chat. Like, I want to have people, like, I'm not a focus face streamer unless I'm doing housing. Then I'm more focus face than when I'm doing like a vet hard mode or something. But I like having folks in chat to like have a conversation with, and it doesn't have to be about ESO. Like, it's whatever the topic is. I love when people just want to like, it's just community. Like, it's just like this bullshit. I don't get out of the house. I don't have a lot of like real life friends, I think, is a lot of streamers experience. Like, we're very isolated from the world sometimes. So this is when I get my social interaction in, and I'm definitely an extrovert. So today was a really good example of what like sitting in one of my streams is like. I'm just like, oh, there's a topic. Let's talk about it. I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the
informed? I do that too.
What's your stance on the current experiences of flying economy in the USA? It's depends on the
horrible experience most of the time.
It depends.
Is it like the planes are low quality, or is there delays, or is it just everything?
I think it's the seats, really.
Fucking late stage capitalism ruining everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the seats are uncomfortable. The space is too tight. They nickel and dime you for every single thing, where it used to be a little bit more of a luxury experience. They don't give a shit about, well, they've just passed laws to try to get a handle on this, but it's such a frequent occurrence that like your flight is delayed or canceled and you just have to deal with it. You just deal, it's like being at the DMV. You're just going to take this pile of shit and that's your day. And there was no like recompense for these companies to have to take responsibility for their like mechanical failures or lack of staffing or like whatever it was that was the cause of not being on time. Like it needs to be a reliable service, and that's not the case. It's another reason like public transport, like trains and stuff in the States.
Yeah, it's wild that
it's
that's not
very different experience than using them in like Europe or Asia.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, trains in Japan was the best experience of my life. So I was like, yeah, I would totally not own a car if I could rely on public transit the way that I can in Japan, but that's just not the case here.
Yeah.
Plus our country is just massive. So
yeah.
It's not fun experience flying economy in the States.
Just don't be a whistleblower. Easy.
No shit. Yeah. If you know anything about Boeing, you better keep it to your fucking self.
Two whistleblowers died. I don't know.
A second one?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think of the new ESO QA? You think the focus on guilds is the right direction? QA, like quality assurance?
Quality assurance?
Maybe quality of life is what's the next one? Not sure. Focus on guilds.
There was a lot of questions about focus on guilds, but I don't know if I've seen much commitment from ZOS on the roadmap around guilds. So I think it's a popular conversation topic right now, but I don't think I've seen any commitment that they're going to actually spend cycles doing much with that. Like I think that remains to be seen. I think it is important that they continue to hold those like in-person panels at all of these events and get the people's feedback. In addition to all the other ways that they can take in information, because like that's the most important part. Like they need to know what they don't know so that they can go, oh, we totally thought this was the thing that everybody wanted, but actually now that we've talked to a larger group of people, I wish they did more of those surveys. They used to pretty frequently in the first couple of years, they would send out those pretty lengthy surveys about like what's important to you and aspects, and it was just a much more comprehensive discussion in those surveys, and I haven't seen one of those in well over a year. So yeah, we were talking about that earlier, Anon, about the feedback, the questions, all the guild questions and stuff. I kind of expected those answers, but I was also pretty disappointed that just like how vague and non-committal they were. But again, those were just topics that were brought up for conversation. Those aren't necessarily things that they're committed to doing anything with necessarily. Yeah.
Oh, the round table, yeah. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Q&A.
Not Q&A. Yeah.
I think that's all the questions we had, Ollie.
Okay.
If we want more lolly content, where do we find you? Twitch.
Places, the things. If I could get my mouse to work, then I could copy my channel address for you and post it in your chat. There we go. That's where to find me. It is no_lollygagging everywhere that I exist. I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat. But yeah, like Twitter, Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I don't really do anything with it. But yeah, I'll probably have a stream this afternoon today. Usually Thursday, Fridays, and Sundays.
This afternoon. It's 10 p.m.
It is 2 p.m., sir.
No. Britain is in the middle. We invented time. It's 10 p.m.
Is that how that works?
That's how it works. We're in the middle at the top.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'll be continuing to fundraise for St. Jude for the rest of the month. Like I said, we're like 1,500 now. Our goal is to get to 5K, and I've got different milestones and giveaways and all kinds of stuff going on every 500 that we raise. So if you guys want to pop in to any of the streams planned through the rest of the month, there's a good chance you could win some cool prizes with giveaways from some folks and make me do stupid stuff.
We have an exclusive
milestone
thing as well, the emote.
Yes. I was thinking of a different emote for a second
Oh.
there. Yeah, so all the folks on the Streamers for Charity team got a code for a new emote in ESO called the Apprentice's Flower Trick. Nobody has this in game yet. This is brand new. This is
Okay.
like what the pink torch bug was before, that was like the charity exclusive. We're the first group to get these codes, and so each person on our team has one of these codes to give away this month with their charity milestones. So
can be
I have one,
yours.
Ollie has one, Jimmy JJ Shabadoo has one. Like, everybody on the team got one code. So if you want to be one of the world first to have that emote and brag about it until it becomes as popular as the pink torch bug has become, you can do that. So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a good conversation.